All right, so I should be live now on YouTube. We got a couple new things we can do, and this is for, again, Brazilians who want an American accent, who are already speaking English well. I want to hop on here more often to do some free live accent coaching, so we can have people join in via Zoom with audio only, and that way you don't have to show your face. I can still see your face privately on my computer if I need to diagnose something about, how you're using your lips or something about the visual, the way you're actually doing things with your mouth. But we don't have to show that to the audience. So the audience on YouTube will just hear your audio and they'll see me and hear my audio. And if I want to share my screen, I can share that with you if you're a guest on Zoom. And I can also share it with the audience here on YouTube Live. Hopefully, this is still new, so I'm working out how to use the technology to make this all happen. But I think it'll be pretty cool. So bear with me if there's any technical issues, but it should be good. So let's go ahead and... Oh, did I forget to... Maybe I didn't do the right stream. Oh, that's funny. Let me see. Oh, I think it's working. Okay. I was scared for a second. All right. But if you're live on YouTube, leave something in the chat. That way I can make sure this is actually working. Because again, I'm still getting used to the technology here. I think we're live on YouTube. Let me know on YouTube, on Instagram. We should be live on YouTube. Let me know if you're seeing it over there. Just some sign of life. But I believe it should be good. Let me see if I can open this and double check it. So I think I can do... Go to YouTube Studio. So yeah, if you're live on YouTube, just say hi in the chat real quick. Just let me know things are okay, testing out technology, and I'll bring people on here live for accent coaching. Hello, awesome, good to see you. And yeah, as we get more people coming on here, we can start bringing on people for accent coaching. So yeah, if you're Brazilian and you want an American accent and you already speak English pretty well, let me know in the chat on YouTube and I'll start selecting people to hop on here live. And until then, I'll go ahead and start using an example audio so we can listen to some audio and start figuring out some of the patterns that Brazilians often have.
Software engineer at Amazon.
So let me play this, and I have permission from a client to share this audio. So I guess I could even share my screen for this. Yeah, why not? So let me do... All right. Da, da, da. Da, 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 da. All right, this should work.
Hi, Will. I'm Lucas. I'm a senior.
Let's jump to, I was listening to one of these things earlier.
Most of the team is of the leadership team is located in. Most of the team is of the leadership.
So of, this client said of or off somewhere in there. I'd say they said of. So they did the V sound, as I would, but then the vowel sound they did more of a ah. I would do a. So versus ah. So in my sort of code that I use for this, we might call that the target sound is a strut sound. This vowel sound like in luck or fun or run or study. And the way that they deviated from that was either like a lot vowel sound, like the ah sound in father, lot, bought, etc. And I'm technically making a slight simplification there, but we'll skim over that for now. Or you could think of it as kind of like the open O sound from Portuguese. And so instead of that, we want to do a less open sound. So instead of, we want to do of. Does that make sense? Of the leadership.
Leadership team is located.
And there they almost did Tim.
leadership team is located in leadership team.
Tim. I would do team. So that's the opposite of the typical issue for Brazilians. This is actually still a typical issue, but the main one you hear me talk about is, oh, it's supposed to be a I, like in sick or this or kid, and a lot of Brazilians accidentally do a E sound, and it comes out sounding like seek, this, kid. And so in this case, it's the opposite. It's supposed to be a E, kind of like E fechado do português, but they did a little more like E, kind of like E fechado. Did I say E fechado? So it's supposed to be like I do português, mas esse cliente falou algo mais perto do E fechado do português, tipo Tim. Does that make sense? So team, make sure you do a closed enough vowel when it's supposed to be that. And then in other cases, and we can filter, by the way, so if we aim for things where it's supposed to be a kit sound, but it came out more like a fleece sound, these words here would be examples where this client said something that was supposed to be like a E, kind of like E fechado do português, but they said something more like I do português. So in Brazil, they said something a little closer to Brazil instead of Brazil.
Brazil originally,
Brazil versus Brazil. City.
Mexico City.
C versus C. So the Y at the end does have a E sound, but the first I, the letter I in the first, the first vowel sound, the first syllable in the word city is more like E fechado. City. And then in meetings and with and all these words that are highlighted, they all had the same issue. So that's one of the cool things as you start working on accent is there's a lot of patterns. So once you figure out, oh, I keep making the same issue or this same, it's supposed to be this, but I say it this way, often we can kind of copy paste that across a bunch of different words. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Let me keep bringing people over to YouTube here from Instagram too. So yeah, I am live on YouTube. If you want live accent coaching, hop on over there and I'll bring some people on live if that's helpful for you. And I can give you some free help. That way you can kind of get a taste of what accent coaching is actually like, whether it's you personally being coached or watching others being coached. Still kind of a new thing. So that's why I'm trying to, bring people from Instagram over to YouTube especially. And we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'll keep going through this sample audio here. So some of the other issues that this client had, I'll probably try to get some permission from other clients to share some other audios here. Or if you guys want me to analyze audio of you, a brief analysis, not as in-depth as this most likely, maybe I can do that as well in these lives, is take submitted audios if you don't want to appear live or you're not able to appear live. I think that would be an interesting improvement of my process, is for you to be able to participate through those two methods. One would be joining live and having me actually coach you. And the other would be just submitting an audio. And then I go over the audio in the YouTube live without you having to actually be there. And then you can watch the replay or watch it without actually being live. So again, kind of call to action here quick on the YouTube side. Say hi if you're watching. Let me know if things are working. Looks like we got 3 concurrent viewers at the moment, which is awesome. So let me know, where you guys are watching from, or, are you Brazilians looking for help to get closer to an American accent? Do you want some live coaching? I can invite you to join me here via audio only without having to show your face. And I can give you some coaching if you want. Oiê, Maju pela Europa. Oi, bom ter você aqui. Watching for Cyprus, nice. If you want some accent coaching, I can invite you on here to join me with audio only on Zoom. If that would be interesting to you, just let me know and I can send you the link to join. But totally up to you. You can just hang out as well and I can keep going through this sample audio. Or if you want to send me a quick audio on Instagram, I can go and grab that audio via direct message. But again, just let me know here in the YouTube chat if that's interesting to you. Whether you want to join live or send an audio, and I can try to give you some specific feedback. Or if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and I'll try to answer them. And yeah, I guess for a little more interactivity, you guys are watching here live. What questions do you have? Any questions about specific words or sounds? How to practice accent? I want this to be interactive. I want to make sure this is actually helpful. You know, I can talk about random things that have helped clients in the past and things, but I want it to be specific to you guys. Tô escrevendo um e-mail. Posso dar aqui uns minutinhos? Claro, com certeza. Oh, Maria Júlia Mario. Awesome. Yeah, okay. I got it. I know who you are. And yeah, if you want to join, that'd be amazing. No worries. Just let me know when you're ready and we can do that. Ian Alves says, I always miss the difference between to and chew. So the main difference there is T versus CH. So in to, I'd think of it as, and I guess I can come back here to me here. So to versus chew. To is a T sound, which is probably a little different from the T sound you're used to if you're comparing it to Portuguese or your current accent in English. Most likely you're accidentally doing something kind of like ch, 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 instead of t, t, t. Subtle difference. They both have a lot of air coming out with them. But one of them is kind of just the tip of the tongue touching. T, 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 a very precise sound, sort of. And the other has a bit more of sort of the middle of the tongue touching. Ch, ch, ch. And that's where you get this kind of SH or CH kind of sound, TCH, however you want to think of it. And so that's the key is t, to versus ch, chew, chew. Another difference, let me show you something else here. Yeah, we could use Audacity for it. Let me record this real quick. To, chew. So if we take these, we put them side by side, we can start to analyze possible differences. So interesting. Nice explanation. Awesome. Glad you liked it. And let's see if we can go a little deeper here, because there's a nuance in what happens in the vowel sound, for example. So part of it's the initial sound of the stop releasing, so the T or the CH, like where that's happening. Is it just the tongue that's closing the airflow? You know, just the tip of the tongue that's touching the roof of your mouth in the front? Or is it like the kind of the middle of the tongue, or tip plus middle? You know, how much or which parts of the tongue are touching which parts of the roof of your mouth. So that's one difference. And then immediately after that initial contact, there's the sound of kind of the air coming out after it. So let's listen to those. And then on this one, so we're going to have slightly different sounds for those. So like just the initial contact, we can contrast these. Let's get a little more so you can hear that a little better. And then the air after it, we'll again try to kind of do apples to apples-ish. Subtle difference, but it's about, again, like which the sounds we make sound different based on the position of our tongue or lips, you know, the physical things, our vocal instrument, you know, we're shaping things differently, and that filters the sound differently. And you said, nice, could you give other examples of this to sound? Yeah, I can. First of all, to equals to. That's the first thing to be aware of, is that those three all have the same pronunciation. There's a slight exception in terms of reduction when you actually put them into a sentence. But if we're saying the full kind of dictionary style, like clear, isolated version of those words, they all three have the same pronunciation. At least I would say they do. And now moving into the vowel part, there's kind of a vowel trajectory. So the punchline of this is there's an initial kind of hidden little extra vowel sound you're probably not aware of. I don't just go directly from a T or a CH sound directly to a oo, just like a oo, like a tu, or a, how would I do that? tu, 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 tu. I don't do that. Instead, I go two, two. There's some sort of glide or trajectory. So let's try to hear that in Audacity real quick. Two, 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 two. So the vowel's starting there. Two, 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 and it's ending here. Two, two. And then we connect them together. Two, 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 two. And then we add the T at the beginning. Two, two. So that's one of the things that'll help you sound more American or more like my accent specifically if you want, is specifically for this, breaking the pieces down to these specific features I just showed you. So the T with just the tongue tip contact, not the middle of the tongue, so to speak. And if you're deep into like phonetics and stuff, you might debate, the middle of the tongue, like the exact, I'm just trying to use terms that roughly make sense to the kind of average person here who's not deep into this stuff. Because you could debate like, oh, the tip versus front versus middle and stuff. But like basically we'll call it tip versus middle for our purposes here. So like T versus CH is partly about which part or parts of the tongue are touching which part or parts of the roof of the mouth. So what's touching what? Part of it's about then the sound of the air that's coming out after it. And then part of it is also about this vowel sound after it and how you might be doing a different vowel sound than what I do. You might be kind of going directly from the T to a oo, tu, tu. And I might be doing a two, ooh, this kind of, it starts in one spot and it moves to another spot. Does that make sense? So like if I just zoom in on this part, two, two, or even just this part, two, 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 you can hear that. And then in the word chew, let's see, chew, 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 chew. The vowel's basically the same. We just swap the T versus the CH. Two, chew, two, chew. And then if we let it follow that trajectory of the vowel, two, chew, two, chew. Yeah, the top one is two, TWO. This is two. And this one here is chew. Yeah, I'll even call it like that. Probably won't be able to read all of this, but does that make sense? This top one is two, two, two. This bottom one is chew, chew. If that makes sense. These are all the same pronunciation, and then down here these are a different pronunciation, but these two have the same. Hopefully that makes sense. Awesome. Sounds like it makes sense. And Ian, same offer goes to you, by the way. If you want to hop on here for some quick live coaching, I can invite you to a Zoom call, and you don't have to show your face on YouTube Live. As long as you're okay sharing your audio, then we can just do audio only. And then I can give you coaching on whatever it is you need help with. And even if you don't know what you need help with, I can open like a random Wikipedia page and have you read it and interrupt you as you make, different mistakes. And that's something I do with my clients a lot. It's a really simple, exercise that we don't have to have something prepared. We can just have you start talking. And if you don't want to improvise, we can literally have you just read pre-written text on Wikipedia, whether it's relevant to something you care about or not. Ideally, it could be about what you work with or a hobby of yours. So it's relevant. Words you actually need to say and probably mispronounce. Oh, you're down? Okay, awesome. Let me send you the Zoom link and I can invite you in. So let me grab that. 1 second here. So see if that link works for you. When you join, there should be a waiting room so that I can accept the right person in. I'm expecting your name on Zoom will be something like Ian Alves, something, roughly similar to what it is on YouTube. But yeah, as soon as you're in that waiting room, I can let you in. And it's up to you whether you want your video on or off in Zoom. Either way, I believe I have my tech set up that I will not show your video on the live. I'll do my best not to anyway. There's always a chance, I might make some technical mistake. But my intention is to be able to do this as audio only for what's being broadcast to the YouTube live audience. And Ian says, just a sec, I'll tell you if it works. Sounds good. I've got Zoom open, so hopefully as soon as you click that link, I should see you appearing in the waiting room pretty quick after that. And anyone else here in the chat, let me see how many people we got on YouTube Live right now. Oh, we got 8 concurrent viewers. Awesome. We had 3 earlier. We're up to 8. So it's growing. That's great. Great to have you guys here. Feel free to comment in the Q&A. Feel free to interact. If you want to let me know where you're watching from, what you want help with, a specific sound, specific word. I want to make this interactive so I can help you guys. All right. Ian is in the waiting room on Zoom. So if you're ready, Ian, I'm going to go ahead and admit you. And we'll see if this works. Cross our fingers. Can you hear me, Ian? You are muted, but once you unmute, I should be able to hear you. Renato says, good morning, Brazilian in Las Vegas here. Awesome.
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Hey, Ian. Hey, how's it going? I hear you too. So I think we're good to go. And people on the YouTube Live, if you can just let me know, do you hear Ian? Hopefully you do. And hopefully you can hear me and him both with no echo and it sounds okay. So let me know in the YouTube chat if things sound okay. But I'm going to assume it does. Let me know, please, though. But yeah, how's it going, Ian? Do you want to get closer to an American accent or what's your goal when it comes to accent?
Yeah, not necessarily American accent, but I think my accent still has a lot of Brazilian points to it. So every time I watch your videos, it's really useful to me because you really point at the mistakes I'm doing. As Chu and Chu, you just explained it. I think I like. Yeah,
you say them both basically the same way right now. Chu and Chu.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can work on that a bit if you want. And the reason I ask about your goal for an American accent, I try to say this every so often. It's like I don't want to force an accent on anyone. There's no like right answer. It's just actually whatever you prefer. But I do focus mainly on people who either want an American accent or at least to like get a little bit closer to it, if that makes sense. But when you're on here live, if that's not your goal, that's fine. I don't want to. So like, what do you feel like? Do you want to? Are you in the U.S.? Are you in Brazil? Are you like interacting with Americans or like? If you're trying to sound clearer or more confident, like, are you moving in the direction of a certain version of English or something? Or
I'm in Brazil.
We're not sure.
I'm in Brazil.
You're in Brazil.
And in my work, sometimes I have to do meetings in English. I do not necessarily want an American accent, but I think I've always studied with American teachers, or American English-based teachers.
Yeah.
So I think my accent naturally goes in that direction, and sometimes it's a bit strange when I think about my English having like British and American aspects to it. I think I would prefer to only have one country to
gotcha. Makes sense. Is it okay if I kind of interrupt you if you mispronounce something or if there's like a...
Of course, please do.
Something I want to comment on? Okay, for instance, you just kind of said country and I would say country. So instead of country.
And like in the verb counting, like I'm counting 1, 2, 3, we just say counting.
It is counting. So that's the crazy part about English is the same letters can have different sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's not as consistent as Portuguese is, unfortunately.
So in this case...
Oh, you muted yourself? There you go. You're unmuted again.
So in this case, the difference is like the rest of the word, like country.
Yeah, you kind of have to like, you kind of have to almost learn the words one by one. And you also have to understand the context, because the same written word can have multiple pronunciations depending on the context. So, for instance, you could see, I mean, there's a bunch of examples, but like console, like a video game console, the noun is console with the stress on the first syllable. But if I'm talking about to like comfort someone, to console someone, acho que é consolar in Portuguese.
Yes, exactly.
Then the stress shifts to the second syllable. So we write them exactly the same. You just kind of have to know when you read it or when you say it, whether, first of all, you have to be aware that there even is a difference, you know, console versus console. And then you have to somehow kind of process, like, am I using the noun version or the verb version? And there's a lot of stuff like that. Yeah. And so there's not really a magic. I mean, Portuguese is a little tiny bit this way. Like, you don't always know, is the O going to be open or closed necessarily? Like, just based on the letter itself, you have to look at, like, is it singular, is it plural, for like ovo versus ovus and that kind of stuff. But it's still way more consistent. English is really all over the place with this stuff.
Nice, interesting. I have a... No, actually, my question just brought me up another question.
Yeah.
When I'm asking you, like, I have a question or I have a question, or...
Oh, yeah, either way. I think the default, when in doubt, I would say, I have a question. But whenever you need to kind of add some extra stress or emphasis on the word a, then you can switch it to a. So... And then sometimes that can change kind of the meaning of the sentence, like depending on what you're stressing a little bit. And not like in a huge way, but like a subtle way. It's like, I bought a car versus I bought a car. It has like a subtly different.
Like car. Okay.
Yeah. It can be a little bit tricky. We'd have to, you know, work through specific examples. But the point is you can add extra emphasis if you want. But I would say the default is to do just where it kind of is not very stressed and it's reduced.
Perfect, thanks. If you're up to it, we can like read the Wikipedia page or something.
Yeah, let's try it.
But before I have another question.
Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
I think I always mess up when some word ends with a T, like Marriott. I don't know. I mean, when there's other words afterwards, I can like ensemble the two words, like Marriott's going for somewhere, but when it's only the word, I never know how to end with this T in the end. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry. I was trying to respond to someone in chat, and I will admit I didn't listen properly.
Okay.
Can you repeat your question?
No, it's okay, of course. I think I always mess up when I have to pronounce a word that ends with a T, like Marriott or something. When I can like ensemble this word with the next one is easier, like Marriott's going home. But when I have to only pronounce like Marriott, I don't know if I do say the T or I do not, or how do I say it?
Yeah, just to be clear, what is the word? Because at first I thought you were saying married, like casado, and then I thought you were saying...
No, like I'm saying like a name of a girl, like Marriott.
Mary? Oh, with the T at the end though, married. Can you write it in either the YouTube chat or the Zoom chat, wherever you want, just so I can see it?
I had to leave the YouTube chat.
Oh yeah, don't worry. Write it in the Zoom chat. I can see you on Zoom.
But like, there's other words like hat or habit. I don't know.
Yeah, just words that end in a T, you're unsure about the pronunciation every time you say them, basically. Yeah, and then part of it is when you say the word by itself versus in a sentence. That can change things too. Yeah, so try to say any of those words just as some examples so I can pay attention to your T sound.
I don't know. Hat. I don't know, habit or hat.
Yeah, no, those are fine. You might have a little bit of like the T versus CH thing from two versus chew that could pop up in those, I would guess, in some moments. But it sounds fine right now. It's not like a big problem or something, and it's really subtle if it's happening at all. But so I wouldn't worry too much about your T sound itself in those words right now. But now if we look at in connected speech in a phrase, now we start to think about what comes after that T. Is it a vowel? Is it not a vowel? Is it, because that matters. I think it's not quite as simple as vowel versus not vowel. I think there's certain consonants that behave kind of like a vowel, maybe R or L or something. But for now, we'll simplify it and say like hat plus the next word, we can look at what is the first sound of the next word. Is it a vowel or is it not a vowel? So if you say like, I have a hat on, like I'm wearing a hat on my head. I'm wearing a hat on my head. Hat on. Then that T, you could say hat on. That's not wrong. But what a lot of Americans will do is they'll switch the T from a T to instead be more like the R in para from Portuguese. So para, hat on.
Okay,
can you say that?
Hat on. I have my hat on.
Yep, perfect. So whenever it's basically, you have like a T between two vowels, you can often do that. There's a little bit more to it in terms of like which syllable is stressed and is there an S before it. But like to keep it simple as like a starting point, it's like when you have a T between two vowels, you can often do it like the R and para, and a lot of natives will do that. Yeah. And so that's one way to adjust things. Another thing that's really common is sometimes we'll do a glottal stop for the T. So have you ever heard of that term, a glottal stop, a glottal T, anything like that? It's like a T that's kind of in your throat instead. I can explain what it means if you want.
I'd love to. I can infer what it is, but if you can explain this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll teach it real quick. So it's like if I say, uh-oh, that word doesn't have a T in it, but it does have this sound in it. And then we can use the same sound for a T. So when I say, uh-oh, I'm kind of like suddenly stopping my voice at the end of the first syllable. I don't just go like, oh, I go, uh-oh, uh-oh. So that, it's different than just, I'm going, and suddenly stopping the sound. So that's basically in my throat. Like it's not really my tongue, it's in my throat. When you use your voice, your vocal cords or vocal folds or whatever you want to call them are vibrating. And what I'm doing is I'm suddenly stopping that vibration, like closing off the airflow and stopping the vibration at the same time. So it's like, does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, can you do that?
When it,
Yeah, you got it. Were you going to ask a question about it?
Like when I use that.
Oh, when do you use it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can teach you. And we got someone here in the chat saying como Manhattan and button. Exactly. In Manhattan, button, kitten, certain, all those sorts of words. Part of the kind of the secret of, the way a lot of Americans say that is that it's this sound. So we're building towards that right now. So yeah, if you say uh-oh, and yeah, mountain is another example. So yeah, if you say uh-oh, as long as we can hear that sudden stop at the end of your then we can copy paste that or build a bridge from that to whatever word we need. So we could transform uh-oh to button or to hot or whatever we need. Because like uh-oh, if you say hut-oh and then hot-oh and then hot and you just don't say the O, now you're saying the word hot.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So, yeah. So like, I would not say like button. It's like
you
button.
Can. It's not that it's wrong. It's just that a lot of Americans, like it's really common to say button, where you kind of do that. Yeah, but just like uh-oh, but-oh, and then you switch the O to a N, a tongue tip N. Yeah, button. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, and Manhattan? How can I say Manhattan?
Same idea. So get rid of the man for now and just try to say hatton. Yep.
Hatton.
You got it. And now you just put the man at the beginning. Manhattan. Yep, that's it.
Nice. It's so different, yeah, and sounds better, really.
Yeah. And as I always say, like this stuff, obviously I'm biased towards helping people who do want to sound American, but at the end of the day, you can choose whatever you prefer for any of these things. It kind of depends on who you want to talk to, who you want to sound like, how you want to be perceived. But it's always a good idea to learn these different versions of sounds so you can not be forced to just do only the things you know, but you can kind of add more options into your toolbox, because now you can actually have a real choice and you can choose like, oh, there's all these different versions of T sounds. And you can kind of pick which ones you want to use in which moments. So it gives you a little bit more options when you build that skill.
Also, like the end of the word, like when you said like button and Manhattan, it seems more like an I than I would have thought, like Manhattan and button. Does that make sense?
More like an I, like almost like the word in, or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is kind of like that. Yeah, Manhattan. Yeah, it could either be Manhattan. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think I would tend to say like Manhattan, or button, like a clear O. And when you said it sounds more like an I, right?
Yeah, it depends
Button.
on how you analyze it. Because when you say O, you might be thinking of a sound, and I might be thinking of a different sound. And when you say I, we
Okay.
also might be thinking of different sounds. So that's always kind of the
Nice.
messiness of
Yeah.
this. So it's hard to say for sure without us unpacking that. But I can
Okay.
like demonstrate some things. So like what me as a native in my accent, so-called general American accent, whatever, I don't say like "ong" for button. So I don't do that version of an O that maybe some Brazilians
Mm-hmm.
might. I don't go like button, ong. I don't do that. Instead, I
Mm-hmm.
do
Mm-hmm.
but, either button, where I kind of go directly to the N, and the N is
Mm-hmm.
acting as a vowel almost, what some people might call a
Mm-hmm.
syllabic consonant. So I basically go directly from the stopped, vocal folds to then turning on my voice with my tongue already in the N position. So you could argue there is no vowel
Mm-hmm.
before the N when I do it that way, and I just go but, like I restart my voice as an N directly.
Mm-hmm.
But you also, I think you could have a vowel on the way to the N if you want, but you could say it almost like the word in. But what I'm not doing is the Brazilian version of the word in, which often comes out like ing.
Okay.
Does that make
No, it
sense?
makes sense when you said, yeah, it's like a vocalic sound of the end, like like there's not necessarily a vowel before, right?
Yeah, there doesn't have to be.
Mm.
That's one of the kind of like
Nice.
advanced, so to speak, things that I don't always hear people talk about. That
Mm-hmm.
is like when you look up words in a dictionary, they'll often show in that kind of word, they might show like a little schwa symbol, like a specific type of vowel. If you don't know what a schwa is, it's fine. But basically, they just like show a symbol for a vowel in that spot
Mm-hmm.
before the N, like in button. I think. I guess we could fact check this. But I think if you look up the word button in a dictionary, a lot of dictionaries will show like a schwa or some sort of vowel right before that N. But if you analyze how a lot of people say it, I would argue there does not necessarily have to be a vowel there. It could be a syllabic
Nice.
consonant. Yeah. And so you can have, there are a couple consonants that can be a syllabic consonant as far as I'm aware. I'm always learning about this stuff too. So I always try to not overstate my knowledge on any of this. But what I'm aware of is you could have an M or an N or maybe even an NG as a syllabic consonant. I might have
Mm-hmm.
to double check the NG, but I'm pretty sure you could. And then I think maybe an R or an L as well. Because, for instance, we could look at like butter, water, and we could see like, do we analyze it as there's a vowel between the T and the R in water? Or do I just
Mm-hmm.
go directly from the T to an R? It kind of depends on how we analyze it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it doesn't matter that much in a way. Like, as long as you can do it, people can define things differently. But that might be helpful. I personally prefer analyzing things that way. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a chance that will be useful for you too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Do you want to try reading something on Wikipedia?
Yeah, sure, but I have to see the page like in the Zoom call because I had to leave the YouTube live.
Yeah, no worries. I should be able to
Okay.
share it to YouTube and on Zoom both.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Let me just, it's the first time I'm trying to do that live on YouTube. So hopefully it'll work. We'll see. Give me a second.
Okay.
And do you have a specific page on Wikipedia? It could be, it's up to you, but we could
No.
pull up something relevant to maybe what you do for work or a hobby. Cause then it could just be random, but like when I have a client, we'll look up a page, like, if they're an
How
aerospace
about
engineer,
if
we might
we
open that, Go ahead. Yeah.
we can
If you
read
have an
the
idea.
page? We can read the secret agent page, the film, the Wikipedia. Wikipedia.
I like that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. 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 Let me open that up. And that's very relevant to accent with, Wagner Moura talking about how he, doesn't see I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't remember exactly what he says, but I think it's something related to like, you don't have to quote unquote lose your accent,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is great. But I also think it's
Yeah,
great
me
for
too.
people who do want to try to sound American. Like I'm very supportive of both. I don't see it as right or wrong. I see it as personal preference. But yeah, just wanted to acknowledge that I think that's awesome. Okay, so I got the page open. Let me share it.
I also opened here in my computer, so if you could
Oh yeah,
not
awesome.
share the Zoom for any reason, it's okay.
I think we'll be able to make it work. But yeah, let's see. Do we want? Yeah, we'll do dark mode. Why not? And then, so I'm sharing it on YouTube, and then now let me go to Zoom and share the preview from OBS, and it should work, hopefully. All right, now. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. I think it's actually working. Yay.
Nice.
Let me know on, let me go back to my OBS window. Let me know in the YouTube chat. Can you guys see the Wikipedia page and see me over in the corner? And can you still hear us both okay? Just a quick health check. Make sure things are working. Yes. Okay, awesome. All right. So, remind me your name again?
Ian.
Ian.
It's
Okay,
actually
cool.
Ian in Portuguese. So
Say again.
Ian.
Ah.
Ian is like the word
Yeah, yeah.
young from old and young, but without the G. It's like Ian.
Ian.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. But in English, Ian, I guess.
I think it's easier. I always say Ian.
Okay, yeah. It depends. Maybe if I'm speaking in Portuguese, I'll say Ian. And if I'm speaking in English, I'll say Ian.
Exactly.
Okay, so how I usually do this with clients, and we can, it's up to you how perfectionistic we want to be, since maybe you don't care about the really fine details of the accent part and more about like mispronunciations and stuff. But if you're okay with it, I'll just, as you read, I'll interrupt you a lot. So like, even if I'm interrupting you like every word or every 5 words, that way I can give you feedback.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. So go ahead and start reading, and I'll interrupt you a lot as you go.
Okay. The secret agent.
So
is a
potentially in
2025
the, I think your TH in the came out a little like a D, like a duh instead of the.
Mhm.
I don't know if you can hear the difference. Duh, duh, duh versus the.
Yeah, okay. I thought I didn't have to say this tongued TH in the D, but I do, right?
So
I
have
have
to.
to put my tongue between my teeth, right?
Yeah,
My tooth.
but it's have to, again, if we're being strict about accent goals, with your goal being not as strict about wanting an American accent, you don't have to do anything. Like, always remember that. In a way, all this feedback is optional. But if you want to move a bit towards an American accent, this is one of those features to be aware of. And again, like having the skill to do it, then you can choose whether you want to or not. But yeah, you don't have to.
Okay. So, The Secret Agent is a 2025 film written and directed
So
by Kleber.
film, I would say film. So instead of fee, I would do
Film.
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 Yeah. So a lot of the
Film.
times when you see the letter I in English, not always, but a lot of the time, if you're thinking of it as if it was something from Portuguese, when you see the letter I, your brain is really going to want to say o som do I do português. But in English, when you say the letter I, it's a lot more common that it's going to be mais tipo o som do E fechado do português. Tipo, mais ou menos. Film.
Like, is a 2025 film.
Exactly. Is, yeah. Instead of is, and instead of film.
Okay. Is a 2025 film written and directed by Kleber Mendonça.
Yep. And also written, we can, if you want to, use what you learned for button. Written. Yep.
Okay.
Good.
Written and directed by Kleber Mendonça Filho.
Yep.
It follows.
And then that's a name in Portuguese, right? So it's always the classic challenge of like, how do we say a word from Portuguese when we're speaking in English and vice versa? There's not a right answer. You said it with a
I
very
think
Brazilian
personally,
style,
yeah.
and that's
Yeah, I
awesome.
prefer-
Whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
Just acknowledging that.
Okay. It follows Armando, a former professor caught in the political turmoil in the midst of. So, like, turmoil.
hmm
Okay?
Do you have a
in the
specific question
midst-
about it, or are you just checking it?
No, if you think it's okay, it's okay.
I think it's okay. There's always a chance I'm missing little things as we go here too. It's tough to
Okay,
catch
sure.
everything, but like just kind of a stress check on it, like which syllable is stressed. I believe turmoil. I believe I stressed the first syllable, turmoil, and I wasn't sure if you stressed the first or the second. But just as I'm pretty sure I would stress the first. And whenever we're in doubt, I'll go ahead and share a resource here that I use with clients a lot, and that you guys can use on your own. You can use, and anyone here on YouTube can watch. Uglitch.com is amazing for checking how do native speakers say something. So we could put in turmoil,
Nice.
And if you have a specific accent you're interested in, you can select that. I'll do US, but you can do whatever you want. And then we'll just hear a quick couple videos and see, did they put the stress on the first syllable or the second syllable? How do they say it? You know, and just kind of sort of like a fact check for audio almost.
Awesome. That's
So
really
let's hear a couple real quick. If it loads, hopefully. I wonder if I need to like adjust. I'll show ads if there's been some issues with YouTube today for some reason. Let me check if I'm logged into YouTube, because if I log in, it might stop spinning like this. But I think I'm already logged in. So there's a chance it just won't work very well right now, but usually it works. Almost always it works. Let me try disabling the ad blocker. We'll skip a few more videos. Yeah, it may not work today for some reason. If I click here, it might open here, and that might work too. But it's just having some issues for some reason. Come on.
The other chronicle talks about political turmoil between the 12.
Turmoil?
Okay, turmoil.
Yeah. Turmoil. Yeah. Yeah, I would say turmoil. And yeah, there's a bunch of ads. I guess that's a downside. I usually use an ad blocker, so I kind of forget there's so many ads. But yeah, there's a lot of ads on English. Oh yeah, and it's trying to get me to... That's probably the issue. Anyways, it's a good resource. It should hopefully work better for you on your end.
I will use it for sure.
Awesome.
Nice.
And will versus will. I will use it.
Will use it.
Good.
Okay.
And then connected speech, if you want to connect, right now you kind of did will, and then you paused, and then you said use. You can learn to connect those together with no pause. So that would be like will use.
I will use.
Good. And if you want to bring conscious awareness to something, it's almost like there's a hidden Y sound at the beginning of use. Almost like the word you, like I'm going to talk to you. Use. Will use. Will use.
I will use. Will use.
Good. Yeah. Good job.
Okay, nice.
All right, go ahead and keep going if you want.
Of the...
Oh, midst versus midst.
Midst. Okay.
Yep.
In the midst of the
Good.
Brazilian military dictatorship.
So instead of dictatorship, I would say dictatorship. I would put the stress on the first syllable. Yeah, dictator. Okay. Dictatorship.
Brazilian military dictatorship.
Yep, and then maybe in mil and dic, the first syllable of both of those, military dictatorship, maybe your vowel floated a little bit towards E. So me and D versus me and di, dic, military dic. Yeah, military dictatorship. I should say the full word or it sounds strange. But you know what I mean.
Military dictatorship, right?
Yep.
In the Brazilian military dictatorship, attempting to flee persecution.
Stress check. You went back to dictator.
Okay. Brazilian military dictatorship.
Good job.
Attempting to flee persecution. Okay.
You didn't. I was just going to add the comment that it's totally normal that these are things that take conscious effort to change. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you try to do like 3 changes at once in the same like 2 words, it's hard to do all 3. One of them slips, you're like spinning multiple plates. And so it's just like learning guitar or cooking or driving. It's like there's all these things that eventually we can kind of do on autopilot, but it's a skill. It takes practice. So just as far as like normalizing, we just talked about dictator versus dictator, and you were able to do it, but then we moved your attention to meal versus mill, and then the dictator thing kind of went backwards to the old habit. Yeah. So just to point that out, to be aware that happens, and just kind of be gentle with yourself, like almost like babysitting a baby, celebrating any little progress and kind of holding it by the hand, and it learns how to walk and talk, and little by little you become more and more independent with your kind of new version of the pronunciation.
Nice. Yeah, I think that in my learning process, I usually like when I learn anything new about a pronunciation, I try to focus like in that thing like for a week or the
Awesome.
next few times that I'm reading. So like when you told me to like watch the a sound like I sound like military, I think I would tend to like spend a few days only reading, like watching those eyes, right, and watching those
Totally. Let me show you
pronunciation.
something
Yeah,
cool.
and it gets automatic.
So if we just do words containing I, and we go to freedictionary.com, but you can just Google that or whatever search engine you like. And you could use any website, but freedictionary.com is the one I usually use. Thefreedictionary.com, technically, I guess. And you could look at long, kind of complicated words that include the letter I, or short ones. But the point is, like, a lot of these, you have to kind of garimpa, because it's not all of them. You have to use your judgment. But you'll notice that there are going to be a lot of these where you would probably normally say E if you're not thinking about it, but it should be I. So if you read through this, I don't know if any of them jump out at you, but like maybe indestructible, some Brazilians might say in instead of in, and maybe
I would for
destructi,
sure. Yeah,
maybe, yeah, instead of destructi.
Cons- insignificance.
Not
Insignificance.
instead of insignificant or something,
Yeah,
insignificant,
yeah.
insignificant. Exactly.
And
So
and
that's a
the
good,
stress changes too in this one. Yeah, nice.
yeah. So like, obviously I help clients like I'm helping you, but even when I have someone who's paying me money, like I always tell them that my goal for everyone I help, whether free or as a client or whatever, is I want everyone to become more and more independent so that you can coach yourself better and better over time. And I'm helping you the same way as I would help a paid client right now. It's just obviously we don't have like as long term of a relationship. We can't solve all the world's problems in just one interaction, but we can make some good progress. But still, my goal is like, how can I make you more independent? So I want to show you like, here's some things you could do on your own. You mentioned working on things with this letter I, this I sound, right? And so this is one of the things is look up words that have the letter I and sort through them. Because like even these short little ones, and I'll show you another tip here in just a second where you can actually use ChatGPT to help make practice phrases. But as far as identifying words, you could do something like this to kind of make your own word list. But like even a lot of these little words that you think you already know, probably you say some of them with an E instead of an I if you go and kind of check them. So like his, I'm going to read, because some of them, again, you have to garimpa, but I'm going to read out loud ones that should be an I and kind of mentally check with yourself if any of them are a surprise, like if you think you normally say them with an E.
Okay.
So his, let me zoom in a little. His, him, its, did, six, big, win, bit, hit,
I think
fit.
all of them.
Yeah. Ill.
Like I
So-
always have like six and big. not
exactly.
six, or big or win. Like it's six win big. Bit,
Wait,
hit.
which way are you saying? Because they should be big and six, not big
Yeah,
and
I'm
six.
saying like I use.
Okay, just making sure that you weren't switching it.
So
Okay,
now I'll try to read it like six big.
good.
win,
Amazing.
Bit, hit.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. And that's the tricky part is sometimes it's in these little words that you've probably said for years or decades or however long you've been speaking English, and we just kind of don't notice. It's on autopilot and they slip by, and maybe because they're tiny words, we kind of forget about them. We assume that we already know how to do them. So
Yeah, it's like the chew example. I will have
is.
to train this one a lot because we are always saying like the preposition chew, right?
Yep.
Chew. And I'm always pronouncing it as chew, so I don't know if I'm like mistaken all the time. I think I am actually, but it's okay.
Yeah. It's all good. It all adds up. And these little things, whether it's to or in or any of these things, some of these are going to be kind of building blocks for bigger words too. So that's another good thing to keep in mind is like this in is really common for lots of these bigger words. Like if we do Control F and then IN, we can see in purple all these
Yeah,
places
sure.
that IN shows up in these big words. And every one of these, or most of them, Brazilians would often do in, whereas I would tend to do in.
Sure. And in how would British pronunciate it?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's where it depends on which British accent and stuff too. And I don't know also, like completely. I'd have to go, for instance, I'll show you again, like to be independent. If I was going to answer this question, what did you say a specific word or just in general?
Just in general.
Yeah. So,
Because
but
sometimes I don't know if something is like a pronunciation question or a accent question. So
yeah, and they can overlap. It's not always a clear. Sometimes it's a little bit fuzzy, like pronunciation versus accent. They're kind of like if you have a Venn diagram, they're either like one is like pronunciation is part of accent, or they're overlapping, like depending on how you define things. So it's sometimes a little bit fuzzy where the difference is. But
yeah,
but yeah, if you wanted
my
to,
goal would be like, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, we might have a slight delay or something, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I think personally my goal would be like to not lose my Brazilian accent because I cherish it and I think it's important like to collide it, but speak in a way that my pronunciation like doesn't get any communication issue, right?
Totally. Yeah, that makes sense. And I would say sort of good news there is that it's very hard to actually like quote unquote lose your Brazilian accent. Like even if you try really hard.
Nice.
So that would be my take there. It's like even people who really want to sound American and quote unquote lose their Brazilian accent, it's very hard to actually do that. You can get closer and closer and closer and kind of get a lighter accent and make it less frequent that you say something that stands out as sort of obviously foreign. You can get closer and closer and closer, and that's meaningful. But yeah, that might be comforting for you to know that it's pretty hard to actually, I think even if you try really hard, you'll still have some of that Brazilian flavor, so to speak, in the way you speak, most likely. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, what I would do if I was you to kind of self-coach and answer your own question here is I would go, I guess I don't need to check those actually. I would just come here and type whatever word you're curious about. And then instead of US, click on UK if you're curious about comparing British versus American. And you could go listen to a handful of American examples, a handful of British, and see if you notice a common pattern. Like there might be variation on both sides, but you might notice, British people almost always say it this way. American people almost always say it this other way. And then you can kind of answer your own question. Dictionaries will also sometimes show like American versus British. But if you want to go kind of straight to the source of truth in a way of thinking of it and hear audio of actual real people, Youglish is a great way to kind of fact check things.
Nice.
Yeah. And again, Youglish was having some issues earlier, so I may not be able to use it as well as I normally do, but you could do that on your own. Yeah. Okay. And then let me also put a thing in YouTube chat because I may bring someone else up here in a moment, but just kind of get someone on deck. So let me see. Just kind of checking in on the chat real quick. Hey, Maria, are you still here? Do you still want to join? Anyone else want to join live after Ian here? Let me know in the YouTube chat. Awesome. So, Maria, you can be on deck. You can join next here in the next few minutes. Are you ready now just to kind of time things with Ian? Do you still need a few minutes? And then if anyone else wants to, we can kind of put you in line after Maria as well. But yeah, let me know, Maria, if you're ready now, if you need a few minutes, kind of your timing, and I'll keep helping you in here. Okay, so if you want to keep reading.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to switch to her here in just a minute because, she's going to run out of time too. But yeah, let's do another sentence or something. Do you have any other questions popping up? I just want to make sure I'm helping you. So whatever you think would be useful.
You're helping me a lot. Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
I think when a classic one would be like the pronunciation of world. That I think I always miss it as well. So
yeah, and also missid. I'm not sure if you tried to say miss it or missid in the past. Missed in the past tense. Because mist in the past tense, I would think of as like Sierra Mist or like mist on a mountaintop, MIST, instead of missid. Even though you see the ed, this is one of those ed words where it's just a t sound. So you go directly from s to t, mist. missed.
Missed.
I think I missed it.
Okay.
Does that make
Okay,
sense?
so missed it, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
missed it. Missed it. If you put a vowel after it, then it missed it. You could argue it becomes a D
Missed
when you
it.
put a vowel after it. But if there's no vowel after
Yeah,
it, you could do it as a T, basically.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Missed. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it does.
Cool. And then, world, the classic tip that I'll repeat here in case you haven't heard it. You're already, I don't think you need this, but I'll still mention it, and then we'll go one layer deeper. But the classic initial tip for 80% of the results is imagine that you're saying were plus old. So were, like past tense,
old.
they were doing this, whatever, and then old, like value. So were
Old.
world. And that'll help you mentally structure it. But now if we break it down into the actual sounds, we could think of it as a W and then an R and then an L, a dark L potentially, is a confusing term that people call it, but that would be an example of a dark L, just a specific kind of L sound, and then a D. But if we really want to zoom in on the hard part, we would just focus on the R plus L. I think you did the R great, and the L you did in kind of a Brazilian way, which again, depends on your goals. It can be fine. You can say world, kind of like a O, and that's acceptable. It's understandable. It's fine. If you want to say it like I say it, I don't do a O, I do a O, where my tongue kind of goes back towards my throat in my mouth.
Okay. Old.
Yeah. And then it would be
World.
practicing putting the R and the dark L together and hitting both of them clearly. So you get this Earl.
Oh, nice.
Earl. I think you're getting it, yeah.
World.
Try just Earl by
World.
itself too.
Old. No, it's like it's the
That's
back
good.
of the mouth, right?
Yeah,
Earl.
instead of being like in your
Earl.
lips, feeling like it's more in your
Earl.
lips or the back of your tongue going up like really high or something, I imagine it as my lips are instead neutral, like my lips are just staying relaxed, and instead I feel the energy like kind of the back of my tongue or like my entire tongue moving backwards in my mouth toward my throat. That's what it feels
World.
like to me.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's really different.
And by the way, you can use this for... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that if you want to help Maria in, I can come out. I can go out whenever you want.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'll leave you with one more tip, and then we'll bring Maria up here. And yeah, Maria, if you want to join the waiting room, I can get you in here in just a sec. So let me repost that Zoom link. It's the
But
same
I'm
link as
actually
earlier.
to read more too as well. So,
Say again?
but I'm up to read more of the text as well. So
Oh, nice. Maybe we'll do like one more sentence after my last tip here, and then we can transition. But let me see where my Zoom call went and the meeting info. I'm going to post that back. Because the tip I was going to say, I'll try to multitask because I'm trying to share the link in the Zoom chat again, is that this R plus L combination is really useful for a lot of words. For example, if you can do Earl and you put a G in front of it, now you're saying the word girl.
Girl.
Yep, but make sure you get the same, the O with the tongue going back in your mouth.
Girl.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you put...
go
ahead.
Like girl on the top of my lips, like girl, but it's on the back. Nice. Girl.
Yeah, because a lot of Brazilians do
I have
kind
to
of
practice it.
almost like a oo or a o, where they're kind of doing a biquinho with their lips. But if you're doing it like I do it, then my lips don't do a biquinho. They stay more like neutral, and it's more about the tongue going back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Girl.
Let's see.
It's harder. It takes more effort. Like it's we're not used to doing this movement with the tongue.
Yep. And Maria, I just copy pasted the link from earlier, so you should be able to hop in the waiting room, and then as I wrap up here with Ian, I can add you in. Okay, so and yeah, that applies to, Earl is just R plus L, girl, squirrel is kind of like a S plus K plus W plus R plus L, squirrel.
Squirrel.
Ah, perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's all connected. The rural juror is like a silly name that people use as a complicated example. Rural.
Rural.
Yeah, that'll take practice. It's hard for natives too. But yeah, that's pretty good. All right, let's do one more sentence.
Okay.
There's a movie called what?
Me and Earl and the Dying Girl.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good one to practice.
Yeah.
Let's see,
So
Maria,
one more
are you in the
sentence.
waiting room or not yet? Try to join the Zoom, Maria, and you won't immediately join. You'll be in like the waiting room, and then I can see that you're like ready. If that makes sense, I should see you pop up because I don't think I see you in the waiting room yet. I think I should see you in participants once you've joined the waiting room. Okay, but yeah, go ahead, Ian.
That's a great doubt that I have. The word supporting. I don't know how to speak this T. Like
Yeah.
supporting.
So I would usually do that T like the R in para because it's sort of between two vowels. If you remember me earlier
Supporting,
mentioning certain
support.
consonants act almost like a vowel in some cases, I would say this is one of those cases where the R before the T in supporting, we can kind of treat like a vowel.
Supporting.
Yeah, so or we get that R, kind of ehi and then we do the R from para is one way to think about it.
Yeah, that's tricky for us because you have
Yep.
like two different R sounds
Exactly.
together, right? Like
It's kind of awkward. It takes practice.
supporting.
And you could practice that by
Well,
going
okay.
der, 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 in like a loop. It's almost like a D. It's a little bit like a D. Der, der, der.
Supporting. Okay.
Yeah,
The supporting. Oh, nice. Okay, I'll
Yep.
try it. The supporting cast includes Carlos Francisco, Tânia Maria, Roberto, only Brazilian words.
Yeah, those are easier, right?
Roberto Diógenes, and Udo Kier in his final film role. A lot of eyes.
Yeah.
Udo
Let me
Kier
see.
and his final film role. Okay, I'll keep going while Maria isn't here, okay?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we're trying to get them in because it's saying they're having some issue, and I'm trying to solve
Sure.
both as I'm helping you. But yeah, let's keep going. And Maria and let's see, is your name Heliton? I'm guessing how to pronounce it. Feel free to try to hop in, and you'll be in the waiting room, and I'll help you guys as I can. And we got Maria in the waiting room also. So let's do like one more thing, Ian,
Nice.
and then I'll switch over.
Okay. The film had its world premiere at the 2025
Word
Cannes
versus world.
World.
Good.
Okay. The film had its world premiere
Awesome.
at the 2025 Cannes Film Festival on 18 May. Where
Yeah, on
it-
18 May is funny. I wonder if this page is
18
written
May.
by a Brazilian. Because I feel like usually in English we would write May 18th. We would put the 18
May
after the
18th.
May.
Yeah, it was written by a Brazilian for sure. For sure.
Probably
Where
right.
yeah. Where it received widespread acclaim and became the festival most awarded film, winning the
Yeah,
Best
festivals.
Actor award.
Just to be
Festivals,
accurate,
most-
yeah, you dropped the possessive, the S or Z sound at
Okay.
the end.
Festivals most awarded film,
Good.
winning the Best Actor award for Moura, the Best Director award for Mendonça Filho, the Art House Cinema Award, and the Presse Prize for Best Film.
Good.
I
And
think
good job
that's it.
correcting yourself on film. So that's great
Okay.
job of kind of mentally, self-monitoring how you're speaking as you're
Awareness.
speaking and catching it. So yeah, good job on that. All right, man. Was this
Nice.
helpful?
Many thanks. Really helpful. Really helpful. I'll be thinking about these things and correcting myself for
Amazing.
a lot of days. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, happy to help and good luck. And, I mainly focus on people who want an American accent, but if I can help you to some extent, you could potentially become a client, even if it's just for a little bit of, catching some of the low hanging fruit on mispronunciations. Zero pressure, just mentioning that is a thing I do if you want to. And for everyone here on the YouTube live, this is a business, right? I pay the bills, not just with free content, but the clients. So happy to help everyone for free. But if anyone here does at some point want me to help them privately, that is a thing I do. And you can find links in my bio on YouTube or Instagram. But all right, man, it was good, Ian. This was nice.
Perfect.
I'm rooting for you. And yeah, let me know if you need more help.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Yep. Bye. All right, let me bring up Maria, and I see you, Heliton, as well. You're next in line. If you're able to hang out till we're done with Maria here, you can join as well. If you have to go at some point, feel free to just drop off, and that's fine if we run out of time. But you are next in line if you want help too. All right, so Maria, I'm going to admit you now. And let me come back to the... Hey, can you hear me? You are on mute, but if you unmute, I should be able to hear you.
Hello.
Yes, how's it going?
I can hear you.
Yay.
I'm good. How's it going?
Good.
How's it going?
Good.
We haven't spoken in so long.
It's been a while because we've known each other for a long time, just online, right? But we've like DM'd back and forth. I don't know if we've ever been on a Zoom call before. Have we?
Yes, Will, you helped me.
Yeah, you like paid me at some point a long time back, and like I coached you a bit, right? Man, it's just I get, because we talk a lot, like just via DM as well, right? Mm-hmm. So it feels like
it helped me in
I forget what all we've done.
2024.
Amazing. So maybe we start there. And yeah, my bad for like getting that confused for a second. But how have things gone since, before I first helped you to now? Mm-hmm. Obviously I can't like take credit like for all of that. I just helped you a little bit, and you're doing awesome whether I helped you or not. But like, how have things evolved for you? And if there was anything I helped you with that you attribute success to in some way, like you discovered some difference you weren't aware of, or a way to practice or whatever. Mm-hmm. Just, like how has your journey been with accent so far, I guess, over these years?
Specifically with accent, I think I became obsessed. Maybe in 2020, 2021 during COVID. Let me see. I don't know. I think I'm just obsessed about it. So I'm always trying to sound more American. Even now that I have so many friends from the UK, and they keep making fun of me, by the way, for sounding American.
You're enduring the peer pressure and the jokes, and you're like, I still want to sound American.
Exactly, yeah.
No matter what my British friends say. That's funny.
Yeah. But I don't know, I'm just obsessed. I don't know if you remember this, but my biggest problem has always been spotting the mispronunciations, the issues. And I've been trying to be more conscious about it, maybe since our call.
Good correction on since.
I do that.
That's awesome.
Now that I'm talking to you, I'm very aware of my pronunciation. I'm very aware of my accent.
Yep.
Maybe in like 5 minutes, I will forget that I'm on a YouTube live.
Right.
But I'm so aware that I'm trying to sound American. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think you're doing great. We can always be picky, and that's part of my job is to be picky and perfectionistic. But like, just to acknowledge, you're very deep on this journey, and you're doing great. Just as like a baseline. Yeah. So anything I'm doing is being, probably pretty like nitpicky on subtle stuff.
That's why I like you.
Yeah, because that's what I'm here for.
I talk to my friends. I don't have many American friends, but I live in Cyprus. Cyprus is a Greek island, but it's partially, Turkish, but also British. There's a military base here and everything. Many Brits come here for holidays, so I have lots of friends from the UK. And whenever I ask them for help, they don't help me. They say, "You sound okay. That's good enough." And I don't want to be good enough. I want to be great. Like, thank you for the compliment, but it's not helping me.
Yeah, sometimes I say like the biggest compliment, if someone actually wants to quote unquote pass as a native speaker, the biggest compliment is when the compliments disappear. Do you know what I mean?
I guess, yeah.
Like, if someone's like, wow, your English is so good, like, instantly you know that they know that you're not a native speaker. Because you would never say that to a native speaker. Does that make sense? Maybe you have a different view since you're in Europe and it's a very, like, interesting mix of things over there.
Yes, exactly. Everywhere I go, I meet people from all over the world. So one of the first things we ask is, where are you from? And once they hear that I'm from Brazil, they go like, "Oh my God, your English is so good."
But that's with the conscious awareness, like you literally just told them. Yeah, if you
Exactly.
didn't
Yes.
tell them, let's say you're in the US, wandering around talking to random Americans, and you didn't voluntarily share that you're from Brazil,
Yeah.
or maybe it's even like audio only, because I don't know, maybe the way you dress or your appearance, there's all these factors, but like that's the core thing I was trying to say with my comment. We could of course like critique it, but like in theory, audio
No, for
only,
sure.
if someone doesn't know, like you didn't tell them you're from Brazil and all they have to go by is just your speech, your accent itself, then in a way, if you want to pass as American, the best compliment is when they don't compliment your accent or your English at all, because they just think that you're one of them and they would never give another native
Yeah.
speaker that compliment. So if they do compliment you, it's kind of like by definition, they noticed that you were not one of them, and they're being supportive. Like it's awesome. It's still valuable. But like taken to the extreme, like the few of us who are obsessive and want to actually quote unquote try to pass as much as we can, then that's kind of the, I don't know, almost the gold standard kind of like the best feedback is no feedback.
Yep. It happens when I lie. Like this weekend, I was in Poland and I met a guy from, I think he was Irish. Um, and we started talking, and I was around someone from the US, someone from Brazil, and someone from Poland as well. And then when he asked me where I was from, I said I was American. Just because, why not?
Just why not?
Yeah. And
That's
then
awesome.
we kept talking, and he didn't question
Where was he from, you
the
said?
fact that I think he was Irish. I'm
Okay,
not
nice.
sure.
Yeah, I think that will be easier too than
looked
convincing an
Irish.
American. I think that's always
Oh
the
no,
interesting part
convincing an
too, is
American
like,
is difficult.
yeah, it is.
I
And you
a
might
lot of
convince
effort.
one American, but not another American, and maybe one
Mhm.
sentence you do and another sentence you don't. So it's kind of this game of probabilities, and it depends on the listener. Accent is a very kind of like floaty thing. Like it's hard to say that you like 100% sound like an American 100% of the time to all Americans. Like it's a messy journey, but we can still move in that direction, and it's still a useful goal for people who like that goal.
Um, Lately, I've been thinking about my accent actually. Here in Europe, people say that I don't look Brazilian, and I know that there's no such thing as looking Brazilian. You know that, but they
Yes
don't.
and
They
no.
think
I know everyone says that, but at the same time, certain people, sometimes I'll be like in the airport and I'll see someone, and it's usually an intuition. Like I don't know how to explain it
yes, uh-huh.
consciously always, but something inside of me is like Brazilian, like
You're
almost
Brazilian.
sure.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that is right.
Yeah. Okay.
But I know
I
what
can
you
agree
mean.
with
Yeah,
that.
there's a huge diversity for sure in Brazil. Yeah.
People say that I look like I'm from Kazakhstan.
Interesting. I
What
could
else?
see that actually.
Yes,
And
right?
people here don't see you, right? Because I'm doing audio only, but I know what you look like. And yeah, you do kind of remind me of
Yes,
some of my friends from Kazakhstan. A little bit.
exactly. And they always think I'm from some Asian country, and I don't get offended by that. I think that's nice. I think it's not a compliment. It's not criticizing me. It's just it. But I would love to look more Brazilian. So if I stop sounding Brazilian and then I don't look Brazilian, I don't sound Brazilian. Come on. I love my country. I love my culture. I want people to know that I'm from Brazil.
Yeah,
So I've been thinking about my accent lately. I've been thinking
that's
if I
interesting.
want to sound more American or not.
Yeah.
Um, Especially now that being Latina is cool. Have you noticed that being Brazilian is so cool right now?
That's awesome. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious to hear where that exploration goes. Because that's something I've thought about, is like if you could wave a magic wand and suddenly you sounded American perfectly, but you no longer sounded Brazilian and couldn't sound Brazilian in English, what sort of like would there be some sort of loss, some sort of grief, some sort of and what if we could, keep both, and you could have American accent mode, Brazilian accent mode in English, and you could switch between them. You're talking to a police officer well, maybe not in the U.S. right now, ugh, but I don't know, historically or in Europe, you pretend, oh, I don't speak English very well, and you put on a little bit of an accent, and
Yeah.
or whatever it is, you're flirting with someone, and well, depending on the all this stuff is messy. All this stuff is messy. But like, if for whatever reason you want to be perceived as Brazilian or be perceived as American in a certain moment, to be able to like control that would be interesting. So yeah, in your case, you've gotten pretty close to an American accent, and it sounds like you have some sense of like, I'm kind of trying to repeat back what you said to see if I understand, is like maybe some sense of like almost a loss or grief. Maybe that's too exaggerated of a word, but you're like questioning, have you in a way, in terms of the way you present yourself to the rest of the world when you meet a stranger, the things they hear your accent, they see your appearance, and they make whatever judgments very quickly about you based on those things. Some people have very obvious, like almost like Brazil is stamped on their forehead for their appearance and their accent and stuff, and you don't have that as obviously anymore. And maybe you wish you did on some level, like you yeah, that's interesting.
I definitely wish I looked more Brazilian. I just came back from Brazil, actually. I was there for a month. I'm still very white. I did not get a tan. And I've been straightening my hair. So I still don't look Brazilian, and I don't like that. But during summer, I think I look Brazilian a bit more. And I don't know, it's a conversation topic. I think men approach me more when I look more Brazilian. I don't know.
That's why I hesitated when I brought up the flirting thing, is because from my female Brazilian friends versus male, like I know there's some, being perceived as Brazilian can be a good thing, a bad thing, a neutral thing, depends on what you're looking for and what the situation is.
It can be a bad thing, yes. Because unfortunately, there are stereotypes around Brazilian women.
And so accent's one piece of that puzzle for how people make a snap judgment.
Yeah. But I don't know. I like my country. I like my culture. I like looking and sounding Brazilian. If I could sound 100% American, I don't know if I would, to be honest.
Because you started obsessed, and you even in this call said you were obsessed, but you also have this questioning.
I burned out.
Doubt.
I was so obsessed during COVID that I literally burned out. And then for 3 months, I wouldn't even look at Youglish or your Instagram, for example, because I was so fed up. I was so tired. And then I noticed that everything was so conscious. Like every time I would speak, either with you or with a friend, I was so conscious of my pronunciation and my accent.
Like putting on a performance, kind of.
Yeah. I was under a lot of pressure, but no one else was pressuring me. It was just me.
Yep.
And it took me a while to come back from that. Yeah, I think I'm fine now. Whenever someone say that I sound American, I make sure to say that I don't. It's just their perception, because they're Europeans. They hear the native language.
You don't accept it as like truth. You're like, that's what you think, and you don't really know. Like
maybe if an American tells me that.
Yeah.
But come on,
I see
what
what
do
you
you
mean.
know?
I see what you mean. Yeah, you kind of discount their feedback as not like quite accurate. I know what you mean. It's still useful. Like, it's useful feedback that to non-Americans, you might sound American. But yeah, that's not, if your goal is to sound Americans, even to Americans, that does not transfer to that necessarily.
I don't think I could. I don't know. Maybe with your coaching, but I don't know if I could actually.
And you'd have to want American. To as well, right? That's like.
I think even if I wanted to, I don't know if I could. What do you think?
I think that it depends on how we define it. And also, everyone here, hopefully this, just to real quick kind of acknowledge people on the live, hopefully this is valuable for people, because I want to keep diving deeper into this conversation with Maria, because you are a fairly rare person, Maria. By the way, should I call you Maria or Maria Julia? What do you prefer? I forget. Like, what do you...
Maria.
Just Maria's good? Yeah. You are a fairly rare person. Like, most of my clients, most of the people that I talk to in general aren't as obsessed as you. So I just want to acknowledge that also. Like, all of this accent stuff is optional, and then there's like anything in life, there's like the minority of the minority who kind of float to the top in terms of like obsession and results and that kind of stuff. It's not for everyone. Like, you probably know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to me. Like, I really value your perspective, because it's almost like you're talking to us and whoever's here in the audience, like kind of from the other side of like years of obsession about accent. And you're talking about almost like a kind of an unexpected cost to it for you personally that maybe you didn't, I don't know, maybe you weren't aware of when you started out or something like that. Or what do you think? Am I putting words in your mouth? But it sounds like you were obsessed, and then after years of obsession, you've gotten to a pretty American-like accent, and some part of you, like, do you regret going as deep as you have into American accent stuff, or?
No, I don't regret at all, because
Okay.
I have a great job here in Cyprus, and I speak with clients from all over the world. And I think my pronunciation, my accent, is part of the reason why I got this job. Because if my English was maybe a bit worse, I would be able to talk to my American clients, but I wouldn't be able to talk to a client from Italy, who has a broken English, you know. So having good listening skills and, you know, speaking as well, I think it's helped me get a job here. So I would never regret that.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it. I keep doing it. I keep following you, and you know. So yeah, I don't regret it at all.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, just trying to figure out how to have a nuanced conversation, like acknowledging both sides of like you've obsessed and you continue to be like interested in it. It sounds like, I don't know if you'd still define yourself as obsessed, but you also have these like doubts that have come up around kind of like identity type stuff and how you're perceived by others.
I'm still obsessed. Maybe I lost control of it. 'Cause I can't just stop being obsessed. I can't just say, you know what? I don't care about my accent anymore. I don't care about my pronunciation.
There's no off
anymore.
switch.
No, I wish. No,
Interesting.
but it's good because I don't know. Maybe I studied so much that I studied more than just the American accent. Like yesterday, I met a guy from Glasgow in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to Scotland before. I went to Edinburgh, and it humbled me so fast, Will, because I couldn't understand what the guy was saying. I arrived at the
I would probably
hotel.
struggle too.
Yeah, and I
It's
was like,
way
what?
different.
But yesterday, talking to the guy from Glasgow, I was able to understand him perfectly, and we talked for like 3 hours with no struggle. Yeah, his accent was funny. He would say like Brazil instead of
Oh
Brazil.
yeah. Everything's
Like
a little
the
different.
R's. Yeah,
Yep.
the R's are Ra instead of R. So
But you kind of get
I
used to it.
think,
You start to adapt to
yeah,
it.
yeah, I think that I was able to understand him because I have knowledge of the language in general. Because my Brazilian friend that was there
Oh, real
with me
quick,
couldn't
time check.
understand him.
Just double check the time. I know you said you had something else you had to go to.
Yeah, I'm back to my computer.
Okay. Are you gonna have to head out like now, or just
Soon,
checking time?
yeah.
Okay. Don't want you to miss whatever it is.
But yeah, tell me, what should I improve? Like,
Yeah. So
what do you think?
how much time do you have? Do you want to? I can point out like a couple tiny things I wrote down, but we can also like have you read stuff, and I can like do live quick
Oh no,
feedback.
I cannot not read. But actually, I think it would be more useful if we had a longer conversation about this.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, I'm so self-conscious
You're doing
that
great though. Like externally,
I don't
you're doing
speak
great.
naturally.
Sure.
I don't know. You know what? I thought I had more time, but I cannot multitask. I'm like a guy. I have to go.
Oh, no worries. Can I tell
Thank
you
you.
like 30 seconds worth of things, or you need to go like right now? Either way's
Yes, of
fine.
course. No,
30
no,
seconds?
I have a minute. Yeah,
Say again?
I have a minute. Yeah,
Oh,
go
okay,
ahead.
cool. So earlier you said someone from the US, and I would put the stress on the S, not the U. Someone from the US.
Okay.
And then the word tan, you did a little more like 10, like the number, and I would do
Tan.
instead of tan.
Tan.
Te. So it's almost like a fechado at the beginning, like
Tan.
te, and then a schwa after that.
Tan.
Try to imitate literally what like the sounds I'm saying.
Eh,
Uh,
uh,
yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And then you do that in like tan.
Tan. Tan. Can you say the word, like the full word?
Yeah, I'll go
Break
back
it
and
down.
forth. Tan. Tan.
Tan. Tan.
Yeah, you could exaggerate it even a little more, like do an even more closed vowel sound at the beginning. So instead of te, do like te.
Tan. Tan. Interesting.
Tan. Yeah, for bronzeado.
Tan.
Tan.
Yeah.
Yep, and same for any word that has stressed an or am. So analyze, plan,
Tan.
and so on. I think the word is,
Is.
maybe you did a bit more of a S sound than a Z sound, or you did like, not necessarily. Some of these things are things I might overcorrect though, because if we go analyze native speakers, like we could probably hear them doing kind of what you did too, but sometimes you might have been like is, where I heard like kind of a long S like at the end. But I think, yeah, I'm undecided. Like we could check Youglish or something.
Okay.
But it's just something that stood out to me, but I might be overcorrecting. It might be fine. And then Italy, it depends again on like how you want to, but you kind of did E instead of I.
Okay.
Italy versus I, Italy.
Italy.
Yeah. And those were the things I wrote down. If we have a longer conversation, we can dive deeper, whatever's useful. But this was useful without even like the deep dive, like on accent specific stuff. I enjoyed hearing a bit, from the other side of some of the things you're reflecting on at this point in your accent journey.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I would love to join your live again in
Yeah,
the future.
I'd
Whenever
love
I'm
to
not
have you.
working.
Yeah, that's always the tricky part. But yeah, it was great to have you on for a bit.
Thank you, Will. It was nice
Yeah,
talking
happy
to
help,
you.
Maria.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Bye. Okay, Heliton, you still there? I could admit you. Maybe let me know in the YouTube chat. I will admit you either way in like 5 or 10 seconds, but I just trying to not catch you off guards. Yeah, Heliton, if you're still there, awesome. All right, I will admit you. So we got Heliton joining here. I see a few more comments on YouTube. I'll try to address those here in a moment. Don't want to leave you guys hanging. Hey, Heliton, how's it going? So yeah, you can be on video if you want. On the YouTube live, I don't believe they will see you. I believe only I will see you if I've done it right. And then I don't hear you yet. Do you hear me? Because you are unmuted, so you probably got some audio issue on your end to double check. But I'll wait and we can troubleshoot in the chat or something if needed. Let's see.
Oh, can you hear me now?
There we go. I hear you now.
Oh, okay. You hear me clear?
Yeah, you sound good.
Oh, okay, okay.
And how do I say your name, by the way? Is it
yeah.
Heliton, or how do you tell people to say your name? Or...
Yeah, it's Heliton. Just like
Okay,
you
cool.
said.
Awesome.
That was correct.
Awesome. And tell me a bit about, your situation. Are you, in an ideal world, are you trying to get an American accent, so to speak? Are you just moving a bit in that direction? Do you not want to have an American accent? You want to sound more clear? Like, what are you aiming for? What sounds interesting to you?
I'm aiming for getting closer to American accent because I think my accent is really thick and I want to improve that. Yeah.
Cool. In an ideal world, even if it's not possible, right? Like maybe it's really hard to sound actually like fully, quote unquote, like an American accent all the time or whatever. But just as like a thought experiment, if you could wave a magic wand and actually sound like have an American accent all the time, is that something that would be a good thing? Would it be like something where you'd feel like it would have negatives to it as well? Or like just kind of get clarity on like, what do you value? Like, you know, if you could magically have whatever.
I think that would be a good thing, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, because yeah, I think that would be really cool. I mean, that would be really good. I think.
Cool. And you can always change your mind later. You know, sometimes as you go deeper in the journey, you might care about things less. Or kind of like we talked to Maria here, her perspective is interesting. It's like she's been obsessed about trying to sound like an American. And then now she's felt some sense of like almost like, I don't know, loss or something. She's kind of questioning it now that she's like years deep into it. So it's always an evolving journey, but I think it's useful to kind of reflect on that. Like, yeah, what are your values? If you could wave a magic wand, even if it's hard or impossible, even if we never actually get there, just to have clarity on where are we aiming. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Cool. So then, yeah, if you want, I can give you feedback with that goal of, even if it's not always just like, you know, necessary just for like being understood, but it's just like a tiny polishing thing to sound more American.
Yeah.
I can help you with whatever, you know, anything that's jumping out. So that's my ideal case. You're the type of person I most like helping. We could just be obsessive and dive deep and do whatever, you know, is helpful. Do you have any specific questions for me? Would you think it'd be interesting to like, you know, maybe open a Wikipedia page and I interrupt you as you read it about things I hear? We could do different dynamics here, whatever would be valuable for you. I just want to try to help you.
Yeah, I could read, or you just could listen to what I say and try to correct my pronunciation, maybe.
Yeah, maybe we do both. Maybe we start improvised,
Yeah,
and
we can do
then
both.
if we want and we have time, depending on how deep we go, maybe we do a bit of a pre-written text as well. So if you're
Okay.
comfortable, you know, again, remembering we're on YouTube Live and stuff, but if you're comfortable sharing, you could tell me, I don't know, what you do for work if you want, or a hobby of yours, or just like how accent and English are going, whatever you feel comfortable sharing. Because as long as you're talking about something that you care about and you're using words you need to say on a daily basis, then we can kind of kill two birds with one stone. Because like a lot of people mispronounce words at work every day and no one tells them.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I help people with a lot, is just pointing out like, oh, instead of like a software engineer needs to say authorization, and sometimes they say like author instead of author. You know, these little things like that.
Authorization.
Yeah. So sometimes there's like a technical word that people need for their career, and they're close enough that no one tells them, but they're consistently mispronouncing it, actually.
Yeah, because people actually consider it rude, like correct.
Exactly. And if they can
Yeah.
understand it, usually context helps. It's legitimately like not that big of a deal, but it's just a little bit of extra friction, you know, every time you say it, and in certain moments it might affect understanding. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, do you have something in mind maybe you could talk for 30 seconds or a minute about, and I can take some notes as you talk? Or
Okay. Well, I can share my. I work as a police officer here,
Mhm.
and I. What else can I say about me? Well, and I try to. Yeah, I'm trying to improve my accent, and I don't even know how I can do that because I don't know what I'm saying, like, and not correctly. I mean, closer to an American accent. And I even I have like I keep in touch with American people sometimes, and because I'm a church, but they don't help me a lot because they just say, oh, your English is good, it's perfect, blah blah blah, because they don't want to sound rude. Try to, oh, you should say this instead of that, like you should say, yeah, even though I ask them to do that, but they don't feel comfortable doing that. And yeah, and so I don't know how else I can get help improving my accent other than just searching up words in youenglish.com and your content on Instagram. They help me a lot. But yeah.
yeah, man, awesome. And yeah, that's super common. It might be a mix of them not wanting to be rude and also them not even knowing what to correct. And it might also be you
Yeah.
believing that you're doing like secretly kind of like way worse than people tell you, and thinking that everyone's just being nice and they don't want to be rude, but your accent is way worse than people, it's like secretly it's way worse than people are telling you or something like that. Because I actually don't think your accent is probably as thick as you think it is, which is an interesting starting point. It's not to say that you sound like, American as you talk all the time or anything like that, but just like to kind of calibrate things on the spectrum of, it's kind of hard to compare objectively, one person versus another or whatever, but like, I can understand you very easily. Oftentimes when I help people, like there are a lot of people who think they are worse than they are. And I think that is, some people think they're way better than they are. So you're doing a good job of defending against that, of like kind of being self-critical and always looking to improve. So that's good in a way. But then the double-edged sword is it can end up hurting your own confidence, where you think you're worse than you actually are. So it's always just, it's hard to know how we're actually doing, because other people's feedback is kind of not trustworthy, and our own ear about our own accent is kind of non-trustworthy. So accent is kind of a messy journey, because it's kind of hard to know, are we even saying it right? How are we saying it? How close to a goal are we in terms of sounding like a native? If even the natives and even our own ear, and like we kind of can't 100% trust any of the feedback. So we have to kind of like triangulate, like take multiple sources of feedback and create a hypothesis and then check evidence. And then it's this kind of confusing journey where a lot of people say things with too much confidence. And so it's good that you're being kind of skeptical. But you can also kind of calibrate that and realize you might also be doing better than you think you are. So it's this kind of weird balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. All right. So I recorded a bit of what you said there, and we can listen to it, and I can point out some of the things that I heard. Okay. I think I missed the very beginning.
And let
me see.
What else
Yeah, I think I missed when you said police officer, but I think I heard you say police officer, I'm a police officer, where you put the stress on officer. Yeah. And I think I would usually stress the word police more than the word officer. I'm a police officer.
Police officer.
Yeah, and then instead of poli, I would do poli with like a closed E sound. Poli.
Oh, like a E? Oh, like an E sound?
Yeah.
Police. Oh.
So this is sort of like an exception almost, because like there's a lot of cases where you see the letter I in English and it is a E. Like we aim for kind of E fechado do português. But there are these sort of exceptions like police or pizza or ski, where the letter I is associated with som tipo E do português.
Oh.
So yeah, police.
Police officer.
Yeah, police officer. Yep, and then you can connect them together. You can almost imagine, like, if you take police and officer and you put them together, almost like it was one big word. You can imagine that the S sound at the end of police, you could even pretend it's at the beginning of the word officer, like sofficer, if that helps you mentally, like, connect the words together. Police officer.
Police officer.
And then make sure you get the police
officer.
Police officer.
Police officer.
Yep, and I figure that's a good one to practice, because, if that's your job, you probably need to say that decently often.
Yeah, when people ask me, I usually say I'm a cop.
Yeah, that works too. Whatever. There's a lot of ways to say the same thing, whatever you prefer. But yeah, the challenge that sometimes happens with pronunciation is when someone can't say a certain word confidently, maybe it's world or police officer or whatever it is, then they end up doing these gymnastics in their sentence to avoid saying the word. So like saying cop instead of police officer, or saying planet instead of world. So I tend to argue that we should practice pronunciation so you can say whatever you want to, and you don't have to like avoid certain sounds or words.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Because you can still say, whatever you prefer, but it's good if you're doing it from choice instead of because you're like avoiding this kind of like scary pronunciation.
I think I do more like avoiding, like I think it's easier to say I'm cop than I'm police officer.
Yeah, and again, that's fine. It's not wrong. It's just, it's nice to feel a little bit more free when you don't feel like you're having to avoid everything as much. And then you're actually choosing.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does make a lot of sense.
Awesome. Some other things I wrote down, just a couple. You said the word closer. Like, I don't remember the context, but something getting closer to something.
Closer to an American accent.
That's probably, that was going to be my guess. That's probably what you said. But I would do it with an S sound instead of a Z. So instead of closer, I would do closer. It's almost like sir, like madam and sir. Sir, closer, sir, closer.
Closer. Yes, sir. Closer. Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir. Closer. Exactly. Can you put that? And the next step, by the way, for everything we ever practice, everything you ever practice on your own, imagine we're building a bridge from like the first moment where you learn it, you learn the word by itself. Yeah, a bridge like that behind you. That's awesome.
The Golden Bridge.
Yep. Or Golden Bridge, Golden State Bridge. I forget the proper name of it. It's the one in San Francisco, right? It might be like Golden State Bridge, maybe. I forget. Someone probably tell us in the chat, but yeah. It's a beautiful bridge.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it is.
Let's see. What was I saying? Do you remember?
You were saying that we
have to build a bridge. I think I remember. We have to build a bridge as we're training accent. We often start with a simplified version of something where it's like saying the word closer by itself or breaking it down into pieces and saying it's kind of like sir. We do some like kind of simplified, isolated, like easier version of the word or saying the word by itself.
Oh.
But then what we want to do is we want to build a bridge from there to real life. Because in real life, we don't usually just say the word closer by itself. We're going to say the word closer in the middle of some random sentence where we're improvising and we're going to be distracted and nervous and thinking about what someone's thinking about us and what we're going to say next. And then in the middle of sentence number 27, we say the word closer. And somehow, it's either going to come out in the old way or the new way, depending on our training and the context and what we're paying attention to. So that's the goal, is we want to train accent in a way where it actually changes how we speak in those conditions, in real life, messy, improvised, like full sentences, not just in simplified practice conditions where we say the word by itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So then what we want to do is you could say the word closer by itself now. You got that mental shortcut of like imagining the word sir or yes, sir, closer. Now build a bridge. Closer. Now just make up a couple random phrases. They can be dumb phrases. They don't have to make sense, whatever. Just as an excuse to practice putting closer into some improvised phrases. So say like, I'm getting closer. Yeah. They're closer to the car. They're closer to the bridge. He's closer to getting an American accent. They're closer to this. Just say like a couple random little phrases and pay attention to try to say closer with an S and not a Z.
Yeah. Closer. I want to speak closer to an American accent. The closest possible. Closer than I would speak before. Even closer than... I don't know how to make up sentences with the word closer.
Yeah, and you're doing great. You're doing great. You're fine. And the sentences, I know it's obviously like a little more stressful or whatever because we're like on a live and this is the first time you and I have talked. But you're doing great. Yeah. The sentences don't even have to be like good. I'm not worried about the content or sounding smart. It is just an excuse to practice the pronunciation where you're not just saying the word by itself. Yeah. And then does the process make sense? Do you see why that matters?
Yeah, I see why that matters.
Awesome. Because that's what I recommend you do with everything you ever learned that you care about and actually want to bring to real life, results. Like when you're in the shower or on a walk around the neighborhood or driving in the car or on the bus or whatever, these little random moments in your day, talk to yourself like a crazy person and just like do that. Practice saying it in the new way and putting it in improvised phrases. Be an actor, be a kid, play with your imagination, imagine like random situations, conversations, things that might happen later that day or next week, or if you go to a restaurant or if you do this, and like mentally simulate that you're there. And then like, someone says X to you and you respond with Y. And like in your response, you say the word closer. And you just like practice like all these imaginary things and you train accent as you do it. Because then when the real situation happens, you will have practiced something very similar to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
It does make sense.
Let's see what else. Let's listen to some of the audio recorded too. Maybe we'll pick something else out.
I keep in touch with American people sometimes, and because I'm a church, but they don't.
So in but they, you did a little more of a but they. I think you did kind of a D instead of a TH in they.
Oh, they don't. But they don't. They.
Yeah, but they.
But they, but they,
Yeah, you're on the right track.
they.
And Maria had a good point. Talvez ele tá confuso porque close com som de Z também existe. And yeah, so if we get rid of the R, and even with R, yeah, so this is a good like teaching moment.
Okay.
Closer exists. That's the word that you were trying to say, and that's the adjustment we were making, is closer with an S sound. But closer with a Z sound also exists. Like if someone is in sales and they're going to try to close someone, like close the deal, they're a closer. Like fechador, maybe? I don't know how you say it in Portuguese. Like, se alguém tá tentando te vender alguma coisa e vai tentar fechar uma coisa, ele é
Close the deal.
fechador. Não sei se esse termo existe assim em português, mas em inglês sim, e é closer com som de Z. Aí é com som de Z. But in closer, the adverb, I think that's an adverb or adjective or one of those things, it's a S. Like I'm getting closer to blah, blah, blah. Then it's an S sound. So both of those exist. And then if we get rid of the R, it's the same idea too. But does that make sense? How like closer and closer, they actually both exist. They're different words if we change between S and Z, even though we write them the same. Or is that not clear?
Oh, I think that's clear, but I didn't know about that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I didn't know about the other meaning of close. I mean, I didn't know about the close,
Oh, even like the meaning of close, like to use in like a sales context.
like a sales context closure. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
and it
know-
doesn't just have to be sales. It could be other contexts too. Like if you're, I don't know, I want to say maybe like in baseball or maybe other sports, if you have someone coming in at the end of the game, like a pitcher in baseball, you may not know much about baseball and that's okay, but like you might be able to use the word closer in other contexts too. But it would be like closer would be someone or something who closes, basically. And that closing could have like a metaphorical meaning.
And
Closing a game, closing a sale.
Closer is the spelling the same as close? I mean,
Yeah, same
the-
spelling.
what about closure? Like
That's different.
CLOSUR.
Yeah. And then it's a
That's
ZH sound. Zh. So like it's a SH, sh, but with your voice
Closure.
turned on. Zh.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, closure.
Closure. That's like yeah.
It's like if someone's breaking up with someone, and
Like encerramento.
maybe that's the word in Portuguese, yeah. It's like a sense of finality. Like instead of something feeling left open, it's like, man, I need closure. It's like it feels like this thing is still open, and then eventually there's like a resolution. It's like, okay, I can move on. You know, something's
Yeah, I
closed.
can move.
Yeah. It's like that kind of idea, kind of. And then close and close also exist. Like if we get rid of the R. And again, the difference is there's a difference in meaning or usage, but it maps to a difference in S versus Z.
Close.
So like I close a door, and as the door gets closer to being closed, yeah, the door is getting close to being closed. So it's like to close is when it's like fully shut or in the process of shutting.
Yeah.
But if it's like not quite shut, I can talk about it being close to
Close.
being closed. Close is like
Closed.
almost but not quite, like nearby. And then close is like the actual like process or result of, you know,
Closing.
closing, ending. Yeah.
Process of closing.
Yeah. And Maria said encerramento, conclusão. So maybe some possible translations there. If you don't mind, I might respond a comment or two that I haven't responded, and I wanted to respond here too. And then if you want, maybe we can pull up like a text and I can give you some feedback too.
Okay.
And maybe did you want to read a text? I think we had mentioned that, right? Like maybe we pull up a Wikipedia page or something.
Yeah, I can read it. I can read it.
Okay. Do you want to think about? I mean, we could pick anything, but I don't know if you have a page in mind, like a Wikipedia page that might be interesting or relevant for you to read. Whatever you're interested in, or it could be related to work or a hobby or just random, you know, whatever you feel like.
Could be random.
Sure. Okay, let me check these comments. And I don't know if like Renato, if you're still here, but I wanted to kind of catch up on a comment or two here. Renato said, uma vez eu ouvi famoso professor no Instagram falando que por mais que estudemos e nos apliquemos em fazer nosso accent parecer perfeito, nós nunca teremos o mesmo sotaque de um nativo. Verdade? Eu acho meio pessimista essa perspectiva. Pode até ser verdade, mas depende da definição. E eu acho que é muito pessimista para o meu gosto. Eu, por exemplo, vamos pensar nos irmãos Wright, ou no Brasil, Santos Dumont. O que você preferir usar na sua mente. Antes de poder voar, antes de ter aviões, parecia impossível. Aí alguém foi lá e fez. E agora é muito comum. E não que sotaque seja exatamente igual, mas eu acho que tem algo importante aí, que é muito fácil dizer que é algo impossível, mas às vezes é que é para poucas pessoas, ou é bem difícil, ou que ainda não foi feito, ou qualquer coisa assim. E aí para olhar para encarar essa questão com mais nuance, eu acho que tem que cuidar das definições. Ter um sotaque perfeito, nativo, a palavra que você quiser usar, e não que nativo seja perfeito. Mas a gente pode começar a definir, por exemplo, é muito possível você falar uma frase, uma palavra ou um som e um nativo te ouvir e realmente, de verdade, achar que você é nativo, baseado naquela frase, palavra ou som. Em geral, é possível, tecnicamente possível, e tem pessoas que fizeram, que vão fazer mais, mesmo se na segunda palavra, frase ou som desviar e, obviamente, seja algo não nativo. Mas aí é questão de probabilidades, e uma pessoa pode aumentar essa probabilidade de alinhamento com padrões nativos e falar de falar cada vez mais próximo de nativo, com maior probabilidade, com o resultado que a pessoa pode falar por mais e mais tempo e parecer nativo durante aquele tempo, como um tempo médio. Talvez nesse momento uma pessoa fala uma palavra, talvez você já viveu isso, de falar só oi, tipo hi, e a pessoa vai responder, where are you from? Baseado só naquela única palavra. Mas aí dá pra, talvez, na primeira palavra, falar exatamente como nativo, geralmente. E aí é na segunda palavra que a pessoa vai perguntar, where are you from? E se treinar mais, talvez na terceira palavra, e por aí vai. Algo assim. So that's my kind of imperfect way of viewing this, is it's not just like a false binary of like you are native or you're not, and you can only get perfection or you shouldn't even try or anything like that. Instead, I see it as a continuum. And even if it's really hard to get like the radical like perfection where it's like 100% sounding like a native to all natives all the time, like what if you get 99% instead of 100%? Or, as you get closer, it's still meaningful. And if you look at the probabilities, it directly impacts like how long you can speak while sounding native or close to native, and how easy you are to understand, and how potentially how confident you feel. Does that make sense to you, Heliton? I'm curious, Renato, if you're here as well, to let me know if that made sense. But since you're here with me live, what do you think? Sense. Awesome. Because I think that's a more like nuanced, realistic model than just like it's oversimplifying to be like native or not, and that's it.
I'm just curious, like, do I sound like a native when I say hi?
I think so, but we'd have to analyze it a little more. And to be like rigorous about it, we would want to have you say it many different times in different situations. We would want to have many different native speakers hear you in different situations too.
Hi.
But to me, that sounds fine.
Hi. Yeah, hi. How are you doing?
Yeah, and the how are you doing? Like, depending on how I analyze it, is it within the like boundary of what native speakers say? Is it a little bit outside? Like,
how's it going? How is it going?
Yeah, you're really
How's it
close.
going?
How's it going? Maybe your I is floating towards E a little bit. How's
is it?
E versus how's it?
How is it?
It. Yeah, how's it?
How is it going? How is it going? How is it
Yeah.
going, man? How's
How's it going? Yep, that's instantly
going?
closer. And so I kind of see accent training as this
Closer.
process of like, we start to get a feel for like what is the sort of like native speaker like range of like the things that native speakers tend to say versus the things that are like outside of the native speaker range, where like if you say that, it's a native speaker can feel that you're foreign, not native, because you said something a native would never say. And when I say native, usually we would need to be more specific of like, oh, an American or this type of American. But like for whatever type of speaker
native.
we're thinking about, we could look at like what are their main patterns for speaking, for accent, and then like we try to get inside that. And then accent training to me is partly about noticing where, as you're saying like how's it going, if instead of A you said E, it's almost like for that part of, you know, if it's how's it going like written here or the audio file, the I is almost like it poked out of the envelope if you did E. Like a native speaker would have done I, and if you did E, it's almost like boop, hello, like kind of waving hi, like not quite, you know, native. It's like something that's sticking out, like poking out, that is noticeable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And then so accent training to me is kind of like noticing whatever the things are that are kind of poking out of the native patterns that a native would normally not do. And we identify what it is that's kind of poking out, and then we kind of push it back in, you know, guide it back within. Yeah. That's one way to think about it, you know, use if useful.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. All right. You want to read, let me check, and then we can pull up a Wikipedia thing. So I think I kind of addressed Hinata's comment here. Data Hash said, I wish I could speak every single language in the world as a native speaker. Amazing. Me too. That'd be awesome. Alien. Yeah, it's, we could pretty certainly say that's not possible. There's so many languages in the world. There's just so many languages in the world. Yeah. Alien words for the Brazilian language, although, thought, world, squirrel. Nós temos quase que engolir a tongue. Yeah, it's tricky. Do I have a WhatsApp group for conversations in English and Portuguese? I don't focus on conversations. You can find that cheaper elsewhere. My focus is on people who are already easily speaking well in English and are not usually blocked in terms of conversational ability, but people who want to focus on accent. And historically, I have had like a group program for accent. Lately, I've kind of let that go dormant, and I'm focusing on one-on-one. If I get enough interest, I may open up kind of a group accent program at some point again, but again, it would be kind of a high level like accent thing, not just like conversation practice. Masotaki Caipira, thank God, because my speech sounds more American. Nice. Yeah, the Ehi Caipira can be helpful. Maria added, eu consigo soar como menina adolescente da Califórnia. Acho que fica 100%, hein? Mas imitação, igual papagaio mesmo. Yeah, I bet you could do it. That makes sense. Awesome. All right, you want to... And I was going to add some comment about like being kind of like a parrot. And then I was debating how much I wanted to add on that, because I want to get us to this text for you here, Heliton. But I guess the quick comment would be like, I see there as being kind of like two sides, like Thinking Fast and Slow is a book that is kind of famous. And we can apply that to accent too, of like, thinking fast is like where it's almost like subconscious. Maybe we don't even know what our tongue is doing. We don't even know how we're doing it. But sometimes if you hear a native speaker speaking and you try to imitate them, sometimes you can like imitate it kind of directly without even knowing like exactly how you're doing it. And you might not get it perfect. It depends on like your skill level and stuff. But there is kind of this like direct pathway if we're really just trying to imitate as perfectly as possible, where we can actually get pretty good results with that if we really like focus on it. We can be kind of a parrot. And then the other side of it is kind of the thinking slow side, where instead we're like consciously analyzing and breaking it down and like studying maybe theory or contrasting, like let's study T sounds and analyze like, what if I put the tip of my tongue here versus here? What if I touch the middle of my tongue? What if I blow extra air? So I see accent training as a combination of the two. Some of it is like kind of unconscious, like just try to do the thing, try to imitate, just actually try to sound like a native for real. Listen and try to copy it, and then we combine that with conscious like analysis and you know, kind of studying things and breaking it down and using technology and coaching and all this stuff, because as adults oftentimes imitation is not quite enough, and we're going to have some things where we need some conscious focus to kind of break through some of those barriers. Does that make sense?
it does.
Nice. All right, let's do. Do you still have time for a random Wikipedia page? Read some text.
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
Yeah, sure.
Let me pull something up. I mean, I can literally click random, and we'll see. I got a random button somewhere. I don't remember where though. Actually, if you don't mind, I might go get a throat lozenge, whatever you call that in Portuguese. Bala, talvez, uma coisa para a garganta, because my throat is sore. I don't know what you call that in Portuguese. Do you know what I'm talking about? Tipo uma coisa que você fica meio que chupando pra quando a garganta tá com dor. Não sei dizer isso em bom português. I'm gonna go get one of those.
English, no.
Pastilha. Maybe?
Pastilha.
People in the comments. Maybe that then. I'm gonna go grab one of those and I'll be right back. And then we can find a page and read it. 1 second.
Okay.
This kind of thing.
Oh,
For a sore throat.
yeah. Cough drop.
Yeah, cough drop.
Cough drop. Cough drop. Cough drop.
All right, let's do. I don't know, let's read about New York City. It's kind of a random one. And if you have something you prefer, we can open something else. Let's see.
It could be. I think a random works.
Okay.
Random works fine. Because
Awesome. All right, let me switch my camera over. All right, can you see the Wikipedia page?
yes, New York,
Awesome.
New York City. Yeah.
All right, so go ahead and start reading, and I'll interrupt you a bunch as I hear things we can adjust. And there's probably going to be some kind of
Yeah.
words in here you might not know, but that's okay.
Yeah. New York, often called New York City, is the most populous.
So instead of
city in-
lus, I would do populous. I think populous.
populous.
Yeah, I think I do more like a is. Even though you see the OU, I do basically a I. Populous. Populous. With a stress on the pop. Populous. Say it again.
Populous.
Yeah, that's better. And then instead of po, I do more of a pa. Populous.
Populous. The most populous.
Yeah,
Populous.
way better.
Most populous city.
And then city,
Okay, most
instead of
populous
city, I at the end, I do E at the end. So the first vowel is
city.
I, and the second vowel is E. So city.
City.
Yep,
Populous city. Oh, city.
good.
City. City. Okay. Populous city. And then in the United States.
And then the TH in the, it can be tricky, but yeah, instead of in the.
In the United States.
Oh yeah, and it could be the, good point. So yeah, in the.
In the United States. Yeah.
In the United
States. It is located at the
And instead of located,
southern-
I think you kind of put the stress on the K, which is common for Brazilians. I put the stress on the low. It is located.
located.
Mhm.
It is located. It is located at the southern.
Instead of southern, so the word south is
Southern.
south, but as soon as we
South.
add
South.
the ern at the end, it's southern, and we say sa instead of south.
Southern.
Yeah, southern.
Southern tip. Southern tip of
Southern,
New
yeah,
York
tip.
State.
Good.
Tip of the New York State on New York Harbor, one of the world's largest
Yeah, close.
natural harbors.
World's.
World's
Much better.
World's largest natural harbors.
Good.
The city uh, the city
Good. Good job.
comprises five boroughs.
Yeah, I don't remember how to say that word either. So this is a good moment of like, I think it's boroughs, but is it like boroughs? I don't remember. If I lived in New York, I would know this because it's common over there. But even me, like, just because I'm a native speaker doesn't mean that I know how to pronounce every word, even words I've seen and said before. So just to normalize that, like sounding like a native doesn't even mean you need to be quote unquote perfect. There's lots of things that natives also don't know how to pronounce with confidence. So I think it's boroughs, but we could check on Youglish. And yeah, we would copy paste whatever people actually say. But yeah, you can keep going. We can kind of skip over that one for now.
Each goal is...
That's a hard word.
Okay.
See if you can break it down.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, co-extensive.
Yeah, pretty good. I would probably say instead of extend, I would probably do I'd probably do ix. Co-extensive. Extend. So instead of x, I would probably say ix.
Ix? Coextensive.
Yeah, coextensive.
With coextensive.
And Maria said, acho que você tá falando certo, Will. Fala de novo. Então, eu falei burrows. So instead of like a us, I'm doing a O's, like a O sound. So I'm saying burr and then O's. So yeah, I don't know if anyone's checking on the dictionary, Youglish, but you can kind of fact check me and see if I'm on the right track or not. But that would be my guess. But yeah, we can keep going and I'll check the chat. Fala rápido, paisão. Boroughs, I think. The city comprises 5 boroughs, each coextensive with its respective county. Yeah, what an overly fancy word, by the way. Like coextent, like. I mean, it's great. I don't want to like be overly critical of this. I didn't write this Wikipedia page. Maybe they're smarter than me for this specific application, but I don't think I've ever said that word or even used that word in my life. So it's like they probably could have used a simpler word, but maybe that's like the perfect word for this context. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, maybe it is. Coextensive with its respective county.
Yeah, county. It's kind of funny because country versus county are only different in terms of one letter, but the sounds are pretty significantly different.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
County and country.
Yep.
Country and county.
Good. And yeah, it's kind of like south versus southern. That OU, even in very similar words, sometimes flips which sound it has.
Southern.
And you're kind of dropping the R.
It is
southern.
Southern.
Southern. Good.
Southern.
Yeah, good job. And Maria said, yes, tá certo. Então, I think it is boroughs based on feedback. Do you also need a cough drop? Yeah. And get some water if you need some water. I probably will go before too long because, my throat's getting sore. Should give my voice a break here. But also, just quick check-in. Is this helping, Heliton? And you guys on YouTube who are here in the chat, let me know if this is helpful. Because obviously I'm helping Heliton live right now, but my goal is, most importantly, to help Heliton in this moment, or whoever I'm helping. But the second goal is, as much as I can,
it is helping.
I'm hoping that this is relevant and helpful for you guys who are in the chat watching live as well. So yeah, let me know if this is helping. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat as well.
It is the geographical and demographic center of both of the Northeast.
North? Which part of Brazil are you from? I assume you say Porta.
Acre.
Do you say Porta or Porta, or what kind of R do you do?
Porta. I'm from Acre.
Nice. Porta. Because the reason I'm saying that guess is because I think Usually when I hear someone in English say like wuch or wucht or northeast, it's because they do a R in Portuguese that's kind of like that, and they're like copy pasting it into English, if that makes sense.
Oh,
Because if someone in Portuguese, if their R is like porta or porta, they usually don't do what you just did in northeast, because you did kind of a north, something like that, I believe. You're kind of like dropping the R, and not just dropping it, more than dropping it, you're doing a different R that I don't do in English. You're doing kind of like a no, I think. Unless I'm mishearing it.
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be aware of that anytime you have an R at the end of a syllable, especially in English, like word, work, north, there's probably a high risk that you're going to accidentally do your Brazilian R that you do in Portuguese. And so aim for kind of a caipira, so to speak, like this porta, north,
northeast.
Yep.
Megalopolis.
Yep. Also in demographic earlier, I don't always point out everything. There's often lots of little things, but like to go back for a second, demographic, I think you kind of did demo, like you did the kind of full O sound. Whereas I think usually when I say this word and when it's part of like the bigger word demographic, I usually would simplify that O, reduce it. And instead of saying a full O, I just do kind of a dema, instead of demographic.
Demographic center of both.
And now the next thing, demographic center. So demographic ends with a K sound. It's written with the letter C, but it's a K sound. Is one way to think of it. And then center begins with an S sound. So even though it's written with the letter C, it's an S sound. So we have a KS. What I believe you did in that transition from the final K to the initial S is I think you added a little extra vowel, maybe a E or something like that. Demographic key center or demographic key center.
Yeah, I did that.
Whereas I would devoice that. Instead of doing a E or I, I would just blow air, like have your voice off. Demographic like instead of key or K, I would do ks, and I would like connect the K to the S directly. Demographic center.
Demographic center.
Yeah.
Demographic center.
Something like that. Demographic center.
Yeah.
Demographic center.
Yeah, it's
because otherwise it's almost like you add an extra syllable, an extra beat, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's kind of related to the classic like Facebooky versus Facebook. Kind of a similar thing.
Facebook. Demographic center.
Yeah, but again, just to be clear, I'm being picky. Like, generally this stuff, like, you're still understandable. Your accent isn't like, I don't want you to feel like your accent is like terrible or whatever words you might use, Like, you're doing great. I'm just being picky to help you keep making progress.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed out this yeah. What I was reading. Okay, it is the geographical demographic center of both the northeast megalopolis and the New York City metropolitan area.
Yeah, metropolitan. Metropolitan. Yeah, and it's kind of like demographic becomes dema, so metro can become metropolitan.
Metropolitan.
Yeah, instead of the O, I can do just a metro.
Metropolitan area.
And then for connected speech, we can connect metropolitan with area, so it almost becomes like the N becomes part of the word area, like an area. Metropolitan area.
Metropolitan area.
Good.
The largest metropolitan area in the United States by both population and urban area.
Yeah, pretty good. And then
New York.
Instead of urban, don't say the U. Pretend it's just start with a no vowel before it. Urban. The R is the vowel. Area. Yeah, urban.
Oh, urban area.
Good.
Urban area. Okay. New York is the global center of finance and and commerce.
So
Commerce.
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 Mhm.
Culture. Technology.
Yeah, and
Entertainment.
culture. Again,
Culture.
it's kind of like urban. You see this U, but it's kind of a letter we don't say. So instead, just imagine it's just an R or just a dark L, and it's acting as the vowel. So in urban, I don't say the U, I just start with a directly, urban.
Oh.
And in culture, you could argue I don't do a vowel, like the L is the vowel. I do this ol dark L vowel, dark L sound. Whether you think of it as a consonant or a vowel, it's kind of acting as a vowel here. Ol, I just put a K directly in front of it. Ol, col, culture.
Culture.
At least that's one way to think of it that I think is useful.
Okay. Culture. Technology.
Mhm.
Technology. Entertainment.
Yeah, you're getting there. Between the
media.
N and the M, you got to also not add an extra vowel. Entertain. Like, I shift from the N to the M with no vowel in between.
Entertainment.
So as I hold the N, so my tongue tip is touching the front of the roof of my mouth for the N. Entertain. And then I hold my tongue in that position. And as I keep holding the N, I close my lips at the same time. It's like I hold the N and then I do the M on top of it. Entertain. Yeah. And then you release that to get the mint. Entertainment. Yeah, something like that. It's crazy, right? We're learning. So be gentle with yourself, because think of how long it takes babies to learn how to speak. Like, whatever it is, 6 months, a year in. I don't remember. I haven't been around a baby recently, but like however long it takes them to finally start saying like dada, mama, like something, and then start building. Like, it is hard to speak. We kind of take it for granted as adults, but it's really complicated. So when we're learning new speaking patterns, remember how excited we get when a baby just says like mama. We're like, yay. We don't even know for sure if it was mama or dada or something, but like we're so excited and we celebrate every little step. And so give yourself some grace as an adult when we're relearning how to speak in a way, because that's kind of what accent training is we're like almost like learning how to speak again in a way. So treat yourself kindly. It's normal for this to be challenging, but see it as a puzzle, see it as a challenge. Don't see it as like some like thing about yourself being permanently bad or whatever. Like, it's a skill and you can learn it if you just keep exploring it and trying, and just don't give up.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you're doing great. And maybe we finish this paragraph and then wrap up. If you have other questions, I'm happy to answer other stuff too. But just to kind of, my voice is tired. I think yours is getting tired too.
No. Actually, I thought that would be easier to read. Like, I didn't expect that it was like but. Yeah.
We're also we're not just reading. If you just read through it normally, it would be easier. We're increasing the difficulty because we're being perfectionistic about accent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and keep. I think we're getting close to the end. Go ahead and keep going. I think you're at like entertainment, give or take.
Entertainment.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Media, academics.
There you go. Yeah, academics.
Academics and scientific.
Make sure you get that N.
Scientific output. The arts and fashion, and as home to the headquarters.
Instead of core, I do core, no W. Core.
Core.
So instead of core, I say core, like the inside of something, the core, or with a K at the beginning. Core.
Okay. Core. Headquarters.
Yep.
Did I say it right?
Yep. Good.
Headquarters of the United Nations.
And you said nation instead of nations. Make sure you get the S/Z sound.
Yeah, I missed the S. No.
Yep.
Missed the nations. International diplomacy.
Good. I think you dropped the R in inter or inner.
International.
There you go.
International.
And then also E versus I. Inner.
International. International. Inner
There you
is
go.
inside of something.
Yeah, exactly. Inner.
International.
Yeah, there's inter and intra. Those are two common prefixes. And if I remember right, like one is like within an object and the other is like between two objects. I think intra is like within something, like intramural is like within the college, or intra, I don't remember other words besides intramural right now. And then inter, I think, is like between multiple entities, like kind of externally. So like between different nations instead of within one nation or something like that. Yeah, inter or inner. International
diplomacy.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So if we kind of reflect on this, something I do with clients a lot, so I'll go ahead and do it with you here as well, is if we don't reflect on things, sometimes it's kind of in one ear and out the other. Like we have a feeling like we learned something, but we don't actually remember what it was and we don't apply it. So see if you can think what, if you forgot everything we worked on today and all you could remember was just like one or maybe two things, what would you want to take away? It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be like the best thing, but just like what's one or two things that you want to remember from today, whether it's a specific sound we talked about or a word or a process or just anything that like feels like it was valuable from what we did today that you want to remember and maybe take action on.
Yeah, definitely the E in the police. And yeah, E in the police, and then I mean everything, because yeah, everything was like really workful, like and yeah, I think every advice that you gave me is really was really good and important, and
Awesome. Yeah. But even if you forgot everything we talked about and all you remembered was just police versus police, I think that's a high frequency word that you'd say a lot when talking about your job, at your job, or explaining it to others. And that'll help you not have to, you can always say cop, but it's good to be able to say police officer with confidence so that you're doing it by choice.
yeah,
And so, yeah, even if you forgot everything else, I would say, yeah, maybe just focus on that as like a high frequency thing that you'll probably need to say that like today, tomorrow, and the next week, like a number of times. And every time you say it, you can add a little bit of extra attention, like in the back of your mind on, did you say it in the new way or the old way? And you try to catch it and notice and adjust it. And if all you did is that, that'll make a meaningful difference. It'll move you in a useful direction.
oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And so you think my okay.
Anything else on your mind? Because, yeah, if you have any other questions or thoughts, happy to answer another thing or two before we go. But, yeah, anything
Accent
else?
is like it's just like a really tricky thing, because
Yep.
You hear me, like you can tell, like you can perceive, like you can tell how my accent by listening to me, but I me myself, I can notice, like
Great point.
yeah,
It's harder for you to hear your own accent. I can hear it, but yeah. So,
yeah.
actually, I'm glad you brought that up because there was something you said earlier I meant to talk about and we haven't talked about it. So maybe I can add that in before we go. And that is, how do you train accent overall? Other than just, looking up random words on Youglish and stuff. So there are many things. There's like a toolbox of things you can do, but I'll try to offer a couple of like tools in the toolbox. They're like kind of simple or like core techniques and like the overall kind of like philosophy or methodology. So the way I think about it is, again, it's hard to know how you're doing compared to a native speaker because all sources of feedback are imperfect. So we want to use multiple sources of feedback, and we want to be a little bit skeptical. We want to be like an accent detective. So we're like, we have a hypothesis, and then we're going to gather evidence. And some of the evidence might be false. Maybe it's falsified. Maybe we're interpreting it wrong. If we interview someone, they might say something that's not accurate. So we're an accent detective or a journalist or whatever, like we're a scientist, whatever metaphor you want. We have to sift through imperfect evidence on our way to trying to discover the truth, the reality of what is actually going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And so some of the tools in the toolbox. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, the word detective.
Oh yeah.
Am I saying like a native, like a detective?
Detective. Basically,
Detective.
Detective. Yeah, detective. I think I blow more air for the first T and less air for the second T. Detective. More. Yeah, you might be blowing like too much air on the second T, maybe. But you're really close. I'm being like picky. Basically, you sound good. Does it sound like a native? That's where, again, feedback is tricky because it's even asking me. I also don't give perfect feedback. I will give better feedback than a random native speaker or friend, or because this is what I do professionally. But even professionals, even like no source of feedback is perfect. So that's why you always want to be kind of your own independent accent detective, gathering evidence, with a little bit of skepticism and trying to kind of prove or disprove, I think that's the best mentality for you to actually have success with it long term. But yeah, so some of the tools in the toolbox for this, one of them that is often overlooked is record yourself and listen to it. You don't have to do this all the time, but just once in a while, send yourself a voice note on WhatsApp, or, you can use whatever technology you want. You can use fancier stuff like Audacity, like I recorded you here with earlier.
They just
and then we can like zoom in on it and analyze specific things. And we can like look at specific vowels and consonants and stuff. But that's if you want to get fancy. You can just send yourself a voice note and listen to it. And sometimes just that, as soon as you hear your voice, without me or anyone else even listening, sometimes you'll immediately be like, oh man, what was that? Like, I know how to say that, but why didn't I? So sometimes just hearing yourself, you can be your own coach for some of the low hanging fruit. There's some stuff that you will immediately be like, oh man, how did I mess, my accent? Like you say you kind of can't hear your accent, but I bet you can in a lot of moments if you listen to like a recording.
Myself, I can, if I record myself, I can clearly hear my accent.
Exactly.
But I mean, when I'm talking to someone, then I don't hear at all.
And then it's harder.
I don't hear.
Yeah, and part of it's because you're distracted. Your mind's doing a lot of stuff, not just focusing on accent. And you can only hear it once because it's live. If it's recorded, you can focus fully on accent and you can listen to it multiple times. You can even slow it down. So recordings are valuable. But yeah, most of our life, we're not recording it and we're speaking live. So you want to be able to do both. You want to improve your ability to kind of notice your accent or notice like the key things that might slip as you're speaking. So like every time you say police officer, you're probably going to have a little like part of your brain that like has a little like, I don't know, like shines a spotlight on that word or like highlights it. Like every time you say it, where you're mentally going to pay a little bit extra attention, especially to the E part, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of part of it, is learning where to pay attention to as like the kind of risky spots to give a little extra attention to, kind of like turning up the accent volume knob, the accent like mode in your brain, like kind of just choosing to pay attention to accent more as you speak. The double-edged sword of that is if you pay too much attention to accent in moments where you need to be focusing on like just communication imperfectly, getting the job done, interacting with humans, that's the trade-off. So that's where I say treino, jogo, like know which mode you're in. Are you in game mode or practice mode? If you're in game mode, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect at grammar, accent, anything like that. You just have to get the job done. So focus on the result that you're trying to achieve and focus on the process with the humans around you of like having hopefully like an enjoyable like human connection as you're getting the job done. You do not have to be like, you could have a native speaker who's an asshole and like terrible to work with and they like don't get the job done. It doesn't matter that they sound native. They're not going to want to like hire this person or work with them again or be their friend because they suck, So it's like, it's not just about being native. Yeah. It's about all these other factors. But then just like a pro athlete can watch recordings, video of how they played in a game, they can analyze it and see, oh, I messed that up. Oh, I should have been there. I whatever, they see something in the game that they can analyze And then in practice, they can go practice it like crazy. So when you're in practice mode, that's when you can be really perfectionistic and like go crazy deep on whatever you want to practice and try to prepare yourself for the game. So you like simulate game conditions, pretend you're on stage, or maybe even get on a real stage if you need to speak on stage, if you need to be on a Zoom call, you know, like whatever it is, kind of simulate. Just somehow don't just be in fake practice conditions, try to make it more and more like real life. So that's where you, again, not just words in isolation, but putting the words in actual improvised phrases, simulated, you know, situations where you imagine someone just asked you a challenging question and now you have to respond and you have 30 seconds and you need to not ramble for 5 minutes, but you need to like say it in, or one sentence even instead of 30 seconds. It's like learning how to, it's not just about native versus non-native. It's about the whole package of like how to be a skilled communicator in real life situations that you care about. And accent is one piece of the puzzle. But that's kind of how I think about it. It's like, okay, game mode versus practice mode. Treino, treino, jogo, jogo. Like separate those mentally, know which mode you're in. And what else? So yeah, you can record yourself. There's knowing which mode you're in. You can ask for help from people that you trust more than average, whether that's a trusted friend who actually does give you feedback and seems to mostly be helpful. Again, everyone's feedback is imperfect. Whether that's hiring an accent coach, it doesn't have to be me, it could be anyone, but it can be me, you know, if you want. But that can be a useful option. You can use AI to some extent. There's some accent AI apps. Bold Voice is pretty good. There's other ones like Elsa. I think it's called Get Pronounced. There's like, you know, take your pick. Go try stuff out. Some have like a free version or free trial. Some have paid stuff. They're all tools in the toolbox. So I would say, yeah, use humans, use yourself, use AI, use, you know, classic like books and YouTube videos and like, but at the end of the day, another useful concept is theory versus practice. So the metaphor I sometimes give is like, imagine, you know, do you want to be able to ride a bike or do you want to know theory about bikes and not know how to ride a bike? The same thing is like for accents. Yeah. So you could be a PhD in like linguistics, phonetics, phonology, whatever, like some deep, like nerdy stuff about accents, which is amazing. And I love that stuff. But technically you also don't really have to know that stuff to be able to like be kind of like a parrot and imitate someone and be able to do an accent. It can be helpful for when you get stuck. You know, us as adults, we don't just like directly absorb things. And the way that babies learn, you know, we're no longer learning languages in exactly the same way, but we can still try and we can get pretty meaningfully close, like without needing to understand all the kind of like fancy technical details of what's going on. Like, even if you don't know exactly what your tongue is doing, it might not matter. You might not have to know. If you can do the sound or the word or the phrase or the accent, if you can do it, you don't have to know the name of the muscle you're using or the phonetic symbol, or it's all kind of optional stuff. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, yeah.
But as soon as you run into a challenge where you try to imitate it and you're not quite getting the result you wanted, that's where it is often helpful to learn something additional. Whether that's being guided by a coach or diving down the rabbit hole yourself through YouTube and books and Wikipedia and whatever resources you want to explore, to start learning, okay, what are the differences in tongue position or lip position? What is some of the theory of like how we produce sounds and perceive sounds and separate them into categories and all this stuff? That's where that stuff can be helpful to kind of add in some conscious skill development that isn't just like subconsciously kind of absorbing it, but instead like consciously deconstructing it and comparing things and training it as like a very conscious skill that eventually, again, we hope to make it become unconscious again and like on autopilot, but we kind of temporarily like open up the hood on the car as a mechanic and like consciously like pick apart our accent and look at it and put it together in a new way and then try to see if it runs. And okay, it kind of runs. We take it out on the road, take it for a test drive, and eventually, hopefully, we're actually driving it again in the real life situations we care about, not just in practice mode. But yeah, we will probably need a mix of be a parrot, imitate things. You'll get some stuff for free as you imitate, but then some stuff you'll have to invest, not necessarily money, that's optional, but like time and effort, you'll have to like consciously invest into like studying, comparing, contrasting some of these more subtle differences that you're not quite noticing or able to produce. does that make a bit of sense for like the overall vision? I don't know if I explained that the best I ever have, but those are some of the thoughts I have around how to train accent.
That was that was a really good explanation.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it was
Any other questions before we wrap up? Anything? Feel free to ask if there is anything else on your mind. But no worries if there isn't.
I can't think of anything right now. Like,
No worries, man.
yeah,
Was this helpful?
yeah, it was
Ajudou?
really helpful.
Awesome.
Ajudou muito. Yeah.
Ótimo. Let's see. Data Hash in the comments said, when do you usually have these live sessions? Whenever I feel like it. This is like my third or fourth one that I've done on YouTube, I think. The first two were just kind of a test. The last two, I actually had someone come on live. 2 days ago, I did one, just had one person join live. Today I had, 2 or 3 people, I think? Maybe you're the third person. So it's still kind of new, kind of an experiment, but it's one that I want to do more of. I'm enjoying it. It seems like it's helping people. And I think it'll probably help me find my next clients too, which transparently from a business perspective, like that's a big part of why, but it's also nice to be able to have a more direct connection even with people who will never become my client. Like I'm always hoping to find my next clients who are like where it's a win-win and it makes sense and we can run off into the sunset being happy diving deep into accent for months, not just one call. But like hopefully this will help, because I can only help a small number of people as clients, but I can help way more people when it's like alive and YouTube and Instagram and this kind of stuff. So that's nice. I enjoy that. Yeah, so I guess I can let you go, Heliton, unless you have any closing comments. But I'll kind of close up the live here. Anything else before we wrap up your part?
No, I just want to thank you for helping me with your advice and tips, and yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, happy to help. Tamo junto. If you want more help, just let me know. And yeah, I think the most important thing is go actually try to do something differently as a result of this call. Even if all it is, it can be really simple, like the baby step, like simple version, so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. What I would actually recommend is just like keep it super simple. Just pay a little bit extra attention to police officer. When you say that, just kind of, plant that seed in your mind of paying extra attention to that when other people say it and when you say it. So you can start to kind of build that habit, the new habit of how to say it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then everything else is a bonus. But if all you did was that, it's going to be a good step in the right direction, because then you kind of prove to yourself that this process works. Because if you can do it with one word, again, not just in theory, not just in practice, but the goal is like when you're actually having a real conversation with a real human, to actually notice yourself saying it in the new way instead of the old way. That's where it's like, oh, okay, I'm actually getting a real life result, not just like on a Zoom call in like a practice session. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Awesome. Because then as soon as you see that happening, now you can kind of like, you're kind of proving to yourself that the process works. And you can then repeat that with another word. If you can do it with, that word, you can do it with another word and another. It's all the same thing, the same idea.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, let's wrap it up then, I guess. It was great to have you on, and I'm rooting for you.
It was great. Yeah. Okay.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Have a good one.
All right. Okay, you too. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, let me see here. So I'll kind of look at the comments here, see if there's anything else I want to comment on, and wrap up the live for today. My throat's getting sore, but this was awesome. I'm tired, but feel good. All right, let me see. I may have missed some comments, so apologies if I missed a comment, but I'll try to acknowledge. I think there's at least one more that came in here. So yeah, when do you usually have these live sessions? I think I kind of started to answer that, but basically I'm planning on doing more, but it's random. As of right now, I don't have a commitment, a scheduled time or day, just kind of randomly post on Instagram that I'm doing it, maybe right at that moment, maybe 20 minutes before. And then I hop on and do a live, and whoever's able to join get some help if they want it. And I realize, that may not work out schedule wise for everyone, but hopefully I can help some people, and hopefully the replays can help even more. And anyone who wants private coaching at a scheduled time, that is a thing I offer. You can check the links, in my bio on Instagram or YouTube if you are possibly interested in becoming a private accent coaching client. But otherwise, yeah, I've got these kind of random free coaching sessions that I'm doing, and hopefully that's helpful too. Marcia Granja said, "This is awesome. Thank you. Glad you liked it. Happy to help." Gabriel Silva said, "I've seen today a word that was hard for me, rotor, about car brake pads and rotor. Was listening on Youglish, but still not easy." Yeah, that is tricky. The R is probably hard by itself. Ro and and then the T is kind of like the R and para, and then putting that between or right before that sound is tricky. So like water, butter, rotor, all those things are usually tricky for Brazilians to start with, and it takes practice. And there's no like magic solution. There's tips, ways to break it down and stuff, but part of it is just like mechanical practice with attention to quality, doing it slow, speeding it up, and practicing with quality, not just repeating it the same way over and over, and reinforcing the existing habit, which may not be what you want, but instead trying to shift it meaningfully in the direction you want, and practicing with deliberate focus, attention to detail. But yeah, rotor, 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 something like that. It'll take practice. Maria said, "Thanks again, Will. Happy to help, Maria. Hopefully one day I won't overthink when I'm talking to you." Yeah, I hope so too. I would argue that it's likely that there were moments today where you weren't overthinking. And so that would be something I'd invite you to consider, and you could, see it differently. Maybe you don't agree with this, and that's fine. But my hypothesis is that it's often not a binary thing. It'd be cool if you could talk with me for an entire thing and not overthink it in any moment. But like, notice how there's probably already lots of moments where you're not overthinking. And maybe by definition, maybe you don't even realize it because you kind of get it into the flow. And it's kind of hard to notice that you're not overthinking because by definition, you're not overthinking. You're just kind of enjoying the moment. You're getting excited about an explanation. You're getting into the flow. And then, 20 seconds later, you like, crap, you go back to like meta cognition, self-analysis, whatever the right fancy word is, where you're overthinking, like questioning, whatever it might be, observing yourself, I guess I'll offer something that's been helpful for me in some moments. Like, I haven't done much public speaking where I like go on a stage in person, but I've done a little bit, and I tend to get nervous. And something that helps me, I might still be nervous, but something that helps me is the idea of focusing out. Because I think if we're focusing in on ourselves, that's when we start to think, how do I sound? Do I sound okay? Do I look okay? What are they going to think about me? What does it mean about me? Me. What's my image? How are they going to perceive me? Will I be ashamed? Are they going to make fun of me? Like, do I have status? Do I seem smart? Whatever. Like, and that's like inward looking, and that's valid, but it's a specific way of looking at things. It's focusing in. But if you focus out, it's like looking beyond that and thinking about the audience and what do they need, or maybe just specific people in the audience. Like maybe there's some haters or trolls or whatever, but like ignore them and think about, the kid or the person, whoever it is that really needs your help, like the version of you from 5 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever it was. And like try to connect with that and think of what would you say, to the younger version of you, or to someone that you're able to help, or someone that is interested in your message, whatever it might be, and just actually try to help, just actually try to be useful. Or if, like in the case of talking to me, it might be, focusing out on me, focusing out on my audience, and just trying to be useful in that sense. Just like trying to share, not trying to necessarily, it's always balanced because you still want to, protect yourself to some extent, not say things that would be like regrettable or whatever. So it's like this kind of balancing act. But maybe, yeah, you can experiment with that idea if that's useful for you. I don't know, maybe you've already thought of this and it's nothing new, but it's helpful for me to think about like, okay, I'm probably focusing in too much. How can I swing it more to focusing out and focus on being useful? And even if I'm nervous, how can I show up in the way that this person needs? Even if I sound nervous or whatever, like do it anyway so that I can help them. So yeah, do it scared, do it anxious, do it overthinking. And yeah, maybe that's part of it too, is like allow the overthinking. Because otherwise you could get caught in this like overthinking spiral. At least I've gotten caught in that, where it's like I'm public speaking and then I start thinking, what if I forget about what I'm going to say next? And then because I had that thought, now I'm thinking about that thought. And like before I know it, I'm like spiraling where I'm like, oh no, crap. Now I'm thinking about thinking, did they notice that I haven't said anything? Is this way too long of a pause? Wait, I need to say something. What was I even saying? I lost my train of thought. And I'm just like spiraling in my own head. And then I'm nervous that they're noticing that I'm spiraling. But I think in reality, even if I am like spiraling on some level, if I could just be like, just like take a breath and be like, it's fine. I could just literally say like, oh, I lost my train of thought, and like verbalize it. Or I could just, breathe and allow there to be a space and silence. And then just continue with something, even if it's unrelated. And just like allow that imperfection and allow the overthinking, and not like overthink too much about the overthinking, if that makes sense. Oh, and I see what you're saying. Maybe I'm going way deep down this rabbit hole in a way that isn't helpful. So that's helpful to get some more specific feedback on your end. Because you said, I guess I just overthink because of you. Ha ha ha. I feel like I gotta pronounce things perfectly around you. I don't mind the audience. Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't know, maybe that's not an all bad thing. You could consciously play with that, but I think it makes sense. You're talking to a quote unquote accent coach. That's what I do. Like, it would make sense that you're going to be more conscious about accent when you're talking to me. And so, and I'm aware of that it's not necessarily like an apples to apples comparison to your everyday life when you're talking to other people that are not me. And that's okay. It's still going to be useful. I'm still going to hear things and, I don't know. We show up differently in every environment we're in. If I talk to my grandma versus if I talk to my wife versus if I talk to a stranger, I don't know, a 40-year-old engineer at his cubicle versus at a bar or whatever. Like, yeah, we show up differently in different moments, and it's okay. It's all still part of us. So I get to see the slightly more accent conscious part of you. That's fine. All right. I think we're going to wrap up. Oh, you said you're used to the audience because you're lives with Pauline. That's awesome. That's a good skill that you're developing, that you're getting that exposure. That's awesome. All right. Glad you were able to join today, Maria, and everyone who joined. Thank you. I'm going to wrap up. If anyone wants to become a client, there's the obligatory plug, call to action. Links in my bio on Instagram and YouTube. If you want to become a client, you can read more about it, the pricing, how it works, and send me a WhatsApp if it seems like a good fit, and we can talk about it, make sure it actually is a good fit. And then we can get started right away if it is. And if you're not ready yet, or it's not a good fit yet, or whatever, like, I'm here to help as much as I can for free when I do these random lives and through my free content. And yeah, I'm rooting for you either way. All right. Have a good one, everyone. Talk to you later.